you'll be hearing some songs off our upcoming EP. Things gonna be nice. So right about now, we starting with this one. Ready to blow? So are you ready to go? So are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, ready to blow, ready to blow. Oh, so let me go.
Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go.
It's time to start the party. Sometimes we be getting dirty. This time we're starting this thing right. Hey, so just kick off your shoes. It's no time to feel the blues. So baby, we gonna do our thing tonight. Oh, leave the work at home, leave the stress alone. Toss away your worries. Ain't got no time for that, baby. Now you got the chance. Lose your fears, just dance. We're gonna rock this party. Just raise your hands if you're ready.
Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go.
It's time for you to be free. Relax, just enjoy the party tonight. We just gonna ease our mind. So just think about the world, 'cause we're not gonna stop us all in the way. Just leaving all our fears behind. So leave the work at home, leave the stress alone. Toss away your worries. Ain't got no time for that, baby. Now you've got the chance. Lose your fears, just dance. We're gonna rock this party. Just raise your hands if you're ready.
Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go.
Let the music take control. Let it seep into your soul. When the bass line starts pulsating, feel the stress keep evaporating. Let it creep into your mind. There could be no better time to get on the floor, 'cause we're just ready to blow. Ready to blow, start up the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark on the trombone.
Start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go.
Give it up for Mark, y'all. So let me go.
Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go.
Ready to blow,
ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go, let's go. Ready to blow, start up the show, get on the floor, let's go.
Yes, folks, good night one more time. We are G-Syndicate. This next song we're going to do for you, you can find it on our upcoming EP called Revive. We released it last year, and we're ready to rock. This one is called Chemistry.
Hey girl. Hey girl. Hey melanin dripping, sweet calico, honey bar, good looking. The way how you move it, put me in a mood, I'm glad to see you. Your waistline on the baseline, so attractive, I wanna be a captive. I see a smile on your face now, so beautiful, I know you're original.
So come wind up on me. I wanna see if you got good chemistry. And come push back for me. Don't hold back, gal, just be free. Love when you dance and show off, show off. You have my attention, girl, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, cause we still grooving. I love when you dance and show off, show off. You have my attention, girl, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, cause we still grooving. We're still grooving. We're still grooving. We're still grooving.
Come talk to me, girl. Classy and intelligent, and you run the world. And let me say face to face. Know you feel the tension, just had to mention. Your brown eyes, shining bright. So gorgeous and glowing like sunlight. I hear your voice, angelic eyes. So amazing, I wanna keep this going.
So come wind up on me. I wanna see if you got good chemistry. And come push back on me. Don't hold back, gal, just be free. I love when you dance and show off, show off. You have my attention, gal, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, cause it's still grooving. I love when you dance and show off, show off. You have my attention, gal, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, cause it's still grooving. Still grooving. Still grooving. Still grooving.
Hey, girl, I wanna take you home with me.
And hey, girl, sugar energy, yeah.
Hey, girl, I wanna treat you right, you see, you see, you see.
Hey, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. What you won't do for love. You try everything, but you won't give up. What you won't do for love. You try everything, but you won't give up. So come wind up on me. I wanna see if you got good chemistry. And come push back on me. Don't hold back, gal, just be free. Love your nuts and show off, show off. You have my attention, girl, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, come and just grooving. I love your nuts and show off, show off. You have my attention, girl, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, come and just grooving. I love your nuts and show off, show off. You have my attention, girl, you're sweet off. Dance with me, baby, step out, step out. Just keep it moving, we're still moving. I love your nuts and show off, show off. You have my attention. And dance with me, baby. Step out, step out. Just keep it moving, cause we're still grooving. We're still grooving. Still grooving. Still grooving. Yeah.
The next selection is entitled Englishman in New York, a song made famous by Sting in the 80s. Hope you enjoy.
I don't drink coffee, I drink tea, my tea. I like my toaster on one side. You can hear it in my accent when I talk. I'm an Englishman in New York. See me walking down Fifth Avenue. A walking king here at my side. I take it everywhere I walk. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm someone said he's a hero of the day. It takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself, no matter what they say. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Modesty's propriety can lead to notoriety. You could end up as the only one. Gentleness, sobriety, all rare in this society. At night a candle's brighter than the sun. In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made up. There's nothing you can do. In New York, there's more than combat gear to make a man. There's more than a license for a gun. Confront your enemies, avoid them when you can. A gentleman will walk but never run. If manners make it man, and someone said he's a hero of the day. It takes a man to suffer ignorance and strive. Be yourself, no matter what they say.
You know you sing at home.
Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Englishman in New York City. I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York.
Now, growing up in the 90s, I would have loved these songs. I'm sure those of you that know them will love them as well. So we got two songs coming up for you. We got I Wanna Know by Joe and Someone to Love by John B. and Babyface. Hope you guys enjoy.
It's amazing how you knock me off my feet. Every time you come around me, I get weak. Oh. Nobody ever made me feel this way. No. You kiss my lips and then you take my breath away. So I wanna know what turns you on. Yeah, I wanna know, so I can be all that and more. And I'd like to know what makes you cry. Oh, so I can be the one to always make you smile. Girl, he never understood what you were with. No. And he never took the time to make it worse. More loving girl. Baby, I'm the kind of man who shows consent. Yes, I do. Any way that I can please you, let me learn. So I wanna know what turns you on. Yeah, and I wanna know, so I can be all that and more. And I'd like to know.
Warning. What you are about to hear goes against traditional romantic counsel expressed by friends, family, and Instagram memes and quotes. Open-mindedness is advised.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, and welcome to another edition of the Senate Podcast. I am your host, Neil, joined as always by I'm not joined by my brother, Derek. I have a placeholder here. Shout out Kevin. Kevin, know in the chat. He is not here. I don't know where Derek is. He is, I would like to think, not having technical difficulties, but in the interim, let us, ask everybody, how is everybody going? Brett Linton, boy. Brett, what going on? Everything good? How is the little boy? How is the son doing? Jason, thanks for joining us. In this moment, you can't say what's wrong, right? Yeah, you're liking it. I can't even say it's a new intro. It's an intro that we're trying to keep that memory alive, right? Derek is telling me that Skype is moving slow, so we can kind of hold on for a minute until we get there. But for those of you that are here, remember to give us a like. That's the price of admission. I see 3 likes already. That's good. Thank you very much. Share the content, of course. As we try to get Derek, in the crank. He's saying that Skype moving slow. Man, look, we should start a GoFundMe for Derek to get a new laptop. We should start let's call it a GoFundMe or a Patreon or something to start, so that we could use the funds to get you Derek. I see Derek in Derek in the chat, but Derek is not on the call. I love it. But yeah, so as soon as we get Derek, we can crank. But everybody, those of you that are there, talk to me, man. How is everybody going? How's everybody doing? How's life treating you all in the tropics? It's been very hot these last couple of days. Wait, hold on, Rasta. Hold on, Rasta. We seem to have we have let me hear you.
Hail.
Yeah, man. What's going on? What's going on?
I hear, man. I hear biting, as what people say. In the crank. Good. Yeah, start the struggle stream, as Jason say.
Yeah.
Struggle stream.
So we could start officially now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to another edition of the Senate Podcast. I'm your host, Neil, joined as always by my brother from another mother and your host, Derek.
Yeah.
And together we bring you another Speaking of Bumbleclot.
Correct.
We actually have
properly.
Yeah, we have Dr. Kerry. Dr. Kerry is still here. She's still in the crank. You all seem to love her on Tuesday, so we brought her back. I don't know if this is gonna help take away from our misogyny points, but it's life in the tropics. Anyhow, how is everybody doing? Let's start with ladies first. The fair sex first. How are you doing, Carrie Ann? How is life?
I'm well, thanks. Life is moving along.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, my brother? Abiding? Life is good. How do you work on the plantation, man?
Boy, the plantation is the plantation. Forever in the struggle. But I'm picking up a little bit of a sniffle. I'm not sure what that's about. So I went to the gym this morning. Then I had cricket practice this evening. Was on the plantation today. It's one of them days.
Cricket practice, man. Tell the people about your cricket practice, man. What I mean? You're dusting off. I see it right here. You're dusting off the cap.
Yeah, man. I'm back out trying to do a little thing. Shoulder holders. I know if any man watching, but shoulders holders hill. Play a little second division with them. So yeah, they're coming up with the old bones. Had a nice little knock this evening.
Very good.
Hits on sixes and things. So you're still working.
That's a cold swiping cricket.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Faster cricket.
Yeah, it's been a long day, but again, as always, I'm here, ready and willing to do the Lord's work. How is everything on your end, my brother?
Man, good man. As with everything else, I abide into. Today was a good day. It's a good day. Before I speak and let out some cat soda bags, today has been a good day. So I can't complain. I am healthy. I am happy. I am whole. I have some clarity when it comes to life in general. So I am good.
Amen.
But anyhow, my brother and my sister, as we traverse these internet streets and we bring you the message of misogyny, I just can't help. I can't help myself. But anyhow, Derek, before we get into things, obviously you have to plug G-Syndicate, let everybody know about G-Syndicate, the virtual concert ready to blow, where to find you guys.
Yeah, man. Find us, gsyndicate6.com. Find us here on YouTube at gsyndicate6. Twitter as well. Facebook as well, gsyndicate6. Instagram, gsyndicate6. Where you got to spell out 6. So once you can spell, you should be all right. We released some music. Thursday, so on Monday. Yeah, that's right. A little tune there, so with Moldy Chief, Big Eddie Daddy, Gin and Tonic remix, and also a tune written by Kiamal himself called Ready to Blow. So shout out to you guys, Kiamal, Vaden, Mark, Brett, and Hugh. Big respects to them all the time. We got more coming.
Listen, man, listen. I want a remix to Beyond with Brutal Crankstar. That's what I want. My favorite G-Syndicate song with my favorite local dancehall artist. Give me the Brutal Crankstar and give me the Brutal Crankstar and the Beyond, right? And let me get rough, B.
For real.
For real. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, you are indeed watching the Senate podcast. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. We do content for you 5 days a week. Along with this space, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m., where we do the live streams and we talk the things straight, no dipsy doodling in this space. We also have Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays where we do the Senate shorts. Those are a bit lighthearted. Those are a bit wild, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But, you know, they're a little condensed. They're not long form. And we got some... Y'all been requesting wildness, man. We got some wellness in the chamber. We somehow roped in Dr. Carrie Ann into this too. She has recorded some shorts, so we got some wellness. Tomorrow is gonna be one that was heavily requested, and yeah, we gonna crank. Just all these side men out there, all these side men. That is one you definitely should tune into because we dispense some advice for the horny men out there. Anyhow, Derek. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have this space, the Senate podcast, at 8 p.m. Derek usually goes on our social media platforms, Facebook particularly, give us a like and a follow on Facebook. And we usually, you know, put something out to let everybody know what we're going to be talking about on this next edition of the Senate podcast. This is no different. Derek wants us to speak on the story of Norah Vincent. No, I'm going to hand over the baton to Derek and let him inform you guys of who Norah Vincent was and, you know, what are the topics that are going to be coming out of tonight's topic.
Well, all righty then. Yeah, so last week, folks, I saw a content creator that I follow, the Crimson Cure. I would recommend anybody check out the Crimson Cure. Go check, and that's a woman, by the way. Go and check her out. Some really interesting stuff, right? And she was following the story about Norah Vincent, right? I looked at it. It didn't catch my interest for some reason because I usually watch all her stuff, but that one didn't pique my interest, so I just kind of left it. I didn't think much about it, and I went on to other things. But then I saw a pic about the same Norah Vincent pop up in my gallery, right? And then that piqued my interest because I got this particular pic. I needed even to send you that pic so we get that on screen. It was in my gallery at least 4 times, right?
So you didn't send me anything. It's only that one picture you sent me, right?
Yeah. So it was at this point that I actually decided to read it because I saw it a couple of times, but I never read it. And you know, I decided, you know what? Let me read this thing. There got to be a reason that so many people sent me this.
Let me get it on screen.
Let me get it on screen, and I will read it for you.
Go ahead.
So that you can be brought up to speed. It says, Norah Vincent, the author of Self-Made Man, has died by assisted suicide, right? Norah was a radical feminist.
Hey, man, you can't say that S word, man. Come on now.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, can't do that, man. You two don't like that word.
I don't even know what to say. Assisted self-deletion. Right. Norah was a radical feminist, or feminist, I can't say that either, who believed men lived on easy mode, a lot of people think that, and tried to prove it by disguising herself as a man for 2 years. Instead, what she found out is men actually have it harder, and wrote a book about her experience. In fact, the experience was so bad, she had to stop at 18 months, we can get to that tonight, because she was starting to hate women due to how bad all of them treated her when they believed she was a man. I was left with psychological scars that accompanied her all of her life. And that's a picture of Norah Vincent there, right? Now, Norah Vincent died on July 6th of this year, right? But her death wasn't reported until a month later in August, and I believe I know why, right? I don't want to go so far as to assume that her work was responsible for her deciding to call it quits on life, but I want to look at what came out of the work itself. I found the work to be informative, incredibly cogent, and serving to demystify many of the delusions and fallacies attributed to men. Ergo,
she's all brave.
Tonight, we're going to go
for this speech.
Tonight we're going to go through a special which aired on ABC after she wrote her book, as you would have heard about it, The Self-Made Man. And we're going to discover why a woman who once had her own segment on ABC died in anonymity and her death went unreported for so long, right? So let's have a watch and see and hear. Give me video one, Neil. What this segment on ABC said about Norah and her experience, right? So this is just a little bit of background into who Norah Vincent is, right?
So, you're on screen.
She's hardly a supermodel or movie star, but today, Norah Vincent is getting the full-blown glamour treatment. Norah's a writer, and one of these shots will adorn the cover of her new book.
This wasn't just a stunt. This was about learning. This is a human project. It was about finding something out about the human creature, and I learned it the best possible way because I went through it.
What Norah went through, or more accurately, what she became in the last 2 years, was a man.
Yeah, a little bit shorter on the top.
No, Norah didn't get a sex change operation. She did it the old-fashioned way, with acting and a disguise. At 5'10", 155 pounds, and wearing men's size 11 shoes, Norah was a natural. Growing up in the Midwest with her actress mother, lawyer father, and 2 older brothers, Norah was a tomboy with a flair for the dramatic. She says she's still a tomboy and, in fact, is a lesbian, living in Midtown Manhattan with her partner, Lisa.
I think we can work with this.
Her transformation into the guy she calls Ned begins with a buzz cut, baggy men's clothes, and a too small sports bra to flatten her breasts. She even wore a little padding in a jock strap.
I also tried to think, well, what kind of guy is Ned? And
For the rest, she enlisted the help of makeup artist Ryan McWilliams.
She just came to me and said, Ryan, I need to turn into a man. The hair, smalls, we can make it, right?
And so they came up with a method of shredding braided wool into whisker-sized bits and gluing it onto her face.
Women have much stronger nasal resonance as a
And then there's the theatrical component.
Ah, so just easy Tarzan out on your chest a little. Ah, good.
Juilliard voice teacher Kate Murray coached Norah for months on a program of movement, breathing, and speaking.
I want you to be the best man you can be.
All to incorporate some of the subtle and not so subtle characteristics of being a guy.
Notice what men do. If they need to suddenly grab a taxi, hey, they just do that. Whereas women will ask for a taxi instead of demand one.
When all the pieces are together, hair, makeup, voice, posture, style, the transformation is complete.
Walk like a man, talk like a man.
Big try,
Walk like a man.
And Norah Vincent becomes Ned Vincent.
Walk like a man.
Right. So,
yeah, man. So for the intro, we can glean that, Norah had a little bit of a head start on this thing, right? She was a tall woman, 5'11" with big feet, size 11 shoes. A lot of men would like to be carrying that kind of dimensions, 5'11", and size 11 foot. So she had a head start in terms of being able to make that transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was a tomboy, and we could also glean that she was struggling, right? She come from a 2-parent household, actress mother, lawyer father, and then she was able to get and afford coaching from Juilliard. You can't just walk off the road and go into Juilliard, right?
Mm-mm.
So Norah is struggling. Norah is all right. So we go crack on. We got a little bit of background into Norah, and she was always a tomboy, it said. So we can go forward. We got videos 2 and 3, Neil, one behind the other, and then we can talk about them when we come back, right?
Right.
Day and is about Norah's 18 months living as Ned.
I wanted to enter male spheres of interest and see how men are with each other. I wanted to make friends with men. I wanted to know how male friendships work from the inside out.
Ned's first act as a newly minted male was to join that quintessential bastion of camaraderie, a men's bowling team. The only problem was she's a terrible bowler.
I probably bowled before this 3 times in my life, and that was, you know, in high school when you do it with both hands, you know. So it was just insane for me to walk into this place without any.
And why didn't they just run you out of town when they saw how bad you were?
It's an amazing thing because I think, I mean, that shows you the generosity that they had.
This is the first time the guys are coming face to face with the female version of Ned.
Would you have known me on the street?
No.
No? Good,
You look
good.
taller than I remember.
Yeah, I know. You're shorter. What happened?
Though they've known about Norah's true identity for months,
How are you? Congratulations.
this reunion is their first chance to talk about their friendship.
But you guys had said that wasn't there that game that, you know, the person who didn't make it to 100 had to wear women's panties at the end of the season. And I thought, you know, I'm going to give you guys the shock of your life, and I'm going to wear
The team had bowled together for 9 months, and gradually Norah gained entrance into the inner sanctum. She found that all the cussing and good-natured ribbing is just how men often show affection for each other.
Way to go, Ned.
All right.
Yes, sir. So Norah wanted to know and experience life as a man, right? So she joined a bowling team. Now, here's the thing, folks. There's a lot of misconception about men being these primitive, mean-spirited, insensitive ogres. And Norah admitted that that's what she thought before she got into this experiment, right? But note what she said, folks. Note what she said. She was a terrible bowler, yet the men on the team accepted her with no questions asked. Those are the words she used, not me. Now, I know some people under the sound of my voice who would want to, you know, debunk what I'm saying. We'll highlight the fact that those are middle-aged Caucasian men, and the same doesn't and wouldn't apply here. But I want to assure you that the same applies right here in good old Bimshire. Many men play recreational leagues in various sports, cricket, football, basketball, and the like. And every league has that one guy, some got even more than one, that we all know in the good. But he's me, man, so he cool with me. You know what I mean? I can think of some people off the back end now.
Yeah, scoundrels, villains.
That's just in the use by the court. But he's a cool fella. We play with him. You know what I mean? So this phenomenon is not unique to North America, right? Nor is it unique to the Caribbean, right? But it is indeed a situation that pertains between men across the globe, folks. Across the globe. So bear that in mind as we go forward. She thought that it was going to be this insensitive, primitive, whatever you want to call it, kind of situation, and she was greeted with arms wide open, as the song says, right? So let me press forward, Neil. Give me video number 4.
All right.
Yeah, much of this clip, but
he's a better singer than that. I see he's a better singer than that.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure,
So this is number 5.
Give me video number 4. This 4. I want 4. There's not much in this, but it's
I
important.
show 4 ready. You tell me you wanted 3 and 4.
Oh, they're losing count. All right,
I
give me
show-
next one.
play-
5, whichever
five.
it is.
Yeah.
Near the end of the team's run, Norah decided to reveal herself as a woman. Nervous about how they'd react, she tested the waters with the one guy she was closest to. She took Jim out for a drink.
So she sits you down, she's very serious, and she says, I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. And what did you say?
So the only thing that will blow my mind is if you told me that you were a girl and that she was a guy. And she goes, well, you're half right.
The she Jim's talking about is Norah's partner Lisa, who the team had met several times. Jim assumed they were Ned and Lisa, a heterosexual couple.
But you didn't believe her at first.
At first, well, I was still in shock. I said, how can this possibly, you know, where would this come from? This is just a regular Monday night. I was out bowling having a good time a few minutes ago. Now I'm trapped in this bizarre conversation about your name isn't Ned anymore, you know?
Later, Jim told the rest of the team, who all took it well.
What do you think Norah expected to find in a bowling alley full of guys?
I think she expected to find like a bunch of guys just talking about women's private parts and a bunch of racists and, you know, I think kind of that's what she came into this thinking.
They really showed me up as being the one who was really judgmental, because they were the ones who took me in, not knowing anything about me. They were the ones who made me their friend, and, you know, no judgments attached.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So poor Jim. This is what with Jim, right? He got this story, right?
Yeah.
So poor Jim, he gets his story, and expectedly he's in shock. But to hear him tell it, the expectation was that men would sit around all day and talk about women, their private parts, and in this case, the case of this particular group, because of their, you know, their lighter complected, it'd be racist views and opinions, right? And I suspect that most women expect that is what men talk about when we gather together.
Raging misogyny.
Yeah, just oozing out, you know. Norah found that wasn't the case, as she was actually the one who was exposed as having those kinds of judgments.
Oh dear.
I'll share this story with you guys, right? A few years ago, I went to a friend of mine's wedding, who shall remain nameless. And at the wedding reception, I was in conversation with my guys, Moxie and Chaddy. See, Matt Brown shouting out the LVBA, shouting to the LVBA, right? So Moxie and I, Moxie, Chaddy, and myself, we talking, right? While we were waiting, we spoke about education, we spoke sports, politics, and even the state of crime in Barbados, right? When we moved to our table, the ladies there were not engaged in such heady conversation. It was gossip about local entertainers, foreign entertainers, makeup and weave, right? One lady spent most of the evening on her phone streaming to IG. Yeah. She continued in the same vein when she went on the dance floor. So imagine this chick is on the dance floor, music playing, and she's dancing and at a wedding reception. So I went through all of that to say men are a little more evolved than women want to think, right? So give me the next one, Neil. We're pressing on nicely. I hope you guys are keeping track. If you want me to start so we can discuss anything in between, I think we can do that because we got a lot of clips, right? So if you guys want to jump in, Dr. Kerry, you can jump in at any point.
For me, so far, so good. I mean, just to speak on the same thing you were talking about, from what I have, the conversations I've had with women and other men, especially, so like in our close friend circle there, you know, we have a mixture of single men, men that are fathers of both boys and girls, and we have married friends, right? And I mean, don't get us wrong, of course, every now and then you will see a beautiful picture of a young lady or several, right? But as far as I understand, that is not anything out of the norm in terms of women do that as well. Women share that type of, especially depending on the type of friendship you have with that person or what your common interests are. They do that. But by and large, what do we talk about in our group chat there? We talk about basketball. We talk about, you know, the manosphere and things that, you know, happen to men or basically
movies.
State of affairs. Yeah, we talk about movies, etc. In another group chat, they talk about that. A matter of fact, the other group chat I have with my close friends, with another set of close friends, those guys talk about stocks. Those guys talk about work. They're very high in the positions that they're in. They talk about life in general. They talk about sports. They're into Formula One and stuff like that. So I mean, and we all have children. Every now and then we talk about that or whatever. And we just, as you say, we make jokes, we make fun. It's not like every day, because I don't want people to feel like we don't every day be talking about the state of affairs and like maybe start foolishness, right? Like every now and then, man will talk some nonsense. You know what I mean? But basically that's what it is. I don't find that I am part of any groups or anything that perpetuate like steaming misogyny or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like when they say steaming misogyny, I mean like I don't understand why these women. I hate women. Women should really what these women voting for? What they out the kitchen for? Like I'm in no group. As a matter of fact, in one of the close groups I'm in, one group of close friends, the man just find our content. The man be like, whoa, brother, you can't say that. Yo, come on, no, let's pump the brakes. So like this whole notion that that's why it's always made fun. You always hear me make fun about the circular. You don't get a memo when the month come on how we gonna oppress women. Like, you know what I mean? Like my email don't beep and go off and I just get a notification. Say, boy.
Is it here tonight?
Let me see when the man talk about how we gonna bad up women this week or this month. Like, no, we really do appreciate and love women. It's just that men are tired of the foolishness. Men are tired of the double speak and double standard, just like women are tired of the double standards that affect them too, right? And this whole notion that men on top, like all men just living hype on the hog in this society, and we don't want to give our position of power to women because like that's so far from the truth. So that's my 2 cents on it.
So I'll jump in really quick. So 2 things. One, I feel like we need to play the shots game. So every time Neil says the word misogyny, we all have to drink shots.
You would be drunk by the end.
Now I'd be halfway drunk.
You would be drunk.
The second thing that came to my mind is I think it really depends on the circles you associate with. There are some circles that are, for lack of a better phrase, perpetually the airhead circles, right? Yeah. There's no depth of conversation. They don't seek to gain clarity on anything. It's just what it is. The end all be all of what they do. And that's just some groups. And then there are other groups of friends that you have, as you both illustrated, that you talk to about sports, politics, education, your lifestyle, raising your children, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a matter of being clear about how you associate, and based on your associations, you attract even more of X association, right? So I don't think I'm finding it very interesting to see the direction that you're kind of leading to with this, Derek, because I was wondering where you're going to take this whole thing with Norah.
She prepared, Derek. Can you imagine that? She actually
I was like, what is he going to do with this?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have never prepared. I probably prepared one show in this entire existence of this pod. Prepare? Nah. But then again, Derek and I are very like-minded. So
right. You guys are like-minded. But it's curious to see where you're going with it. And I appreciate the direction. And I would push back and say how disappointed I am to know that, or to hear that men feel that women are expecting that they don't have depth. That somewhat doesn't sit with me so well, because I know so many men of depth and breadth. To hear that there's a general consensus or a broad brushstroke that many women think men are not about their life. They don't have depth of character to them. So I beg to think that those women who have those types of assumptions about men, they themselves are struggling with depth themselves.
I was literally about to follow up and say that what I find is that, because let's be honest, right? Again, we say this every week. Men and women are human beings. We are more alike than we are not alike. The only difference between men and women is the psychological, like how we process things and emotions and hormones and everything like that. But by and large, our human interactions with people are similar. Of course, I'm sure there are groups of men, especially older men or some men that just in their circle, they bash on women and they bash on society, they bash on left-leaning, progressive ideologies and stuff like that. But to say that is exclusive to men is funny to me, because I know women, I know groups of women, you see it on Instagram, so I could only imagine what's going on in the WhatsApp, right? So to sit here and act as though we men are the universal problem of all the ills in society, particularly when it comes to marriage and the relationships with women, like all we want is sex. That's all we want. All we want is sex. So when they come home, no matter if you're pregnant, no matter if you had a hard day, no matter what it is, come home and give me sex and cook a food. You know what I mean? And this is not only just my close friend circle of friends, but even if I branch out a little further, right? Men are understanding. Men are understanding. Men understand that, especially men of today, like a woman ain't just to cook and clean and to have sex with. It is more nuanced. Of course, what we talk about here is the extremes. where women just completely shut down and shut off, right? Especially when the man feels as though he has not really done anything to warrant such a thing. You understand what I mean? But the whole ideology of men being, shoot, it depends on what circles you go in, right? Like, men are not as smart as women. Men are not as good as leaders as women and stuff like that. And it's funny to me because back in the day, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, that was the pervasive narrative. Shoot, there were even like propaganda on television that said women are not as smart as men and women cannot lead and function like men. And people tore that down. People was like, yo, that is, can't believe that's saying being said and put on television, and people are having a platform to talk about those things. Here we are now in 2022. Literally, there are people that have videos and certain things that are saying that women are smarter than men. And women are better leaders than men, and this and that and the next and the third. And it you know, it goes unchecked. It goes without saying. Like, nobody pushes back on that. So what I'm seeing here is par for the course. I mean, I know some people are gonna say, oh, but you know that those are white men, or those are men living in a different culture and dynamic. I know we know we can get the equivocation and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I challenge any woman to do what Norah is doing here or would have done. Transition to a man for a period of time. Go into, well, I'm being facetious, but you understand what I'm saying? If you were to spend a moment around men, you and if you, again, men of worth, no, I ain't talking about you know what I mean? Like, understanding
and
that there are,
rare.
right, they got pookies and rares and they got logical thinking men. And you come into the circle and and that's another thing too. I find with men, I know I'm going on a bit, but I can let you get back to it. I find that as men, the energy you put out, just like life, if the energy you put out is the energy you can receive. So, for example, if you're a man that like the prawn, right? You like to see scantily clad women doing nefarious things. And you go around men where that energy is not present, right? Like when you're in that group chat, you don't get that sort of imagery, you don't get that sort of talk or anything like that. Then you'll be like, you know what, this is too big for me. Like, this is not what you want, this boring or whatever. The man will either leave or the man will either conform and stay. Likewise, if this is a group that got a lot of prawn in it and a lot of scantily clad women, and a man comes in saying this is not my forte, this is not my cup of tea, then you would find more than likely the man is in a problem, and they would reduce that amount if that guy is seen to be an asset to the overall group, if you understand what he's saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just, I guess, like you, Carrie, I am slightly disappointed that people think like that. I don't need to see this video to know that, because I am a man and, you know, I used to have conversations with women all the time. So there's just this narrative now that men are brutish, violent ogres that have no appreciation for women. I have no desire to want to understand a woman's condition and perspective. So,
Well, to carry on's point, I think it's a bit of projection, because if you go back to what she would have said, she said she was the person who was found to be the one holding those particular views, and because of that, she had the expectation. So she kind of projected her own thoughts onto that group of guys, right? Give me video number 6 there, so Neil.
All right, here we go.
Then we can go 7, 8, 9 together, but give me talk about 6 first.
What's wrong? Norah and Jim became closer friends once he knew that he was a she. Now Jim was willing to speak more personally and openly, like about his wife's cancer. Norah came to see that between men, intimacy is sadly lacking.
There's a tremendous potential for tenderness between men, and I'm not sure that it's always realized, and it's terribly sad.
That's an interesting point that we're going to talk about at some point. Where, you know, that's another thing. Anyhow, we can get there when we get there. But ladies and gentlemen, you are indeed watching Senate Podcast.
Yeah, man. Men expressing tenderness, as she called it, is only now becoming a thing, really. Because the reason for that is that men have worked out that tender and expressive doesn't necessarily serve them very well. And Norah herself found this out, and she's going to tell us about that in a few clips. So give me, yeah.
Right. I just want to ask real quick to both of you, right? Do you think that it is a case where men, first things first, we are not raised to be tender. We're not raised to share. We're not raised or encouraged to do those things. Is it a case where, because society teaches us that, one, and two, we mostly see women as that conduit to being emotionally expressive and being emotionally vulnerable. But then, as we are seeing today, certain things don't benefit men in terms of sharing like intimacy and emotion and vulnerability, because sometimes it's either not reciprocated or it's rejected outright. What y'all think about that?
I leave it off for carry on.
Yeah, sorry.
She's already leave it to us now. Look at you, look.
Yeah, I can
So,
come to it later on, so I don't want to talk now.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll try and be short then, Derek, since you're gonna come back to it. But I think there is again this conditioned narrative about men or boys being raised to be hard and not in tune with their emotional side or their affections. And that is something that genuinely stunts the development of a person, whether boy or girl, being raised to kind of ignore emotional pieces. And that's something that that also I think we've spoken about in different, you guys have spoken about it in different settings over the course of your year. And I think I mentioned it maybe last week or the time before, about the fact that these norms, right, lend themselves to poor outcomes in our intimate partner relationships. When we, you know, the assumptions or the conditions that we believe manifest poorly in our relationships. And this is why we have such a challenge with having honest and open communication, and why so many women further abuse men with these remarks about you need to expand your emotional vocabulary. Like, no, he doesn't. Actually, he doesn't. I'm sure his emotional vocabulary is quite intact. It's a matter of whether or not he feels safe enough to express. I think all men have the ability to express and be emotionally in tune, but some of us as women don't make it safe. I really want to just point that out, that as much as we are the nurturers and supposed to be the more emotionally in tune, some of us make communication hostile for men. So I just want to really put that in there because I see it coming up a lot in different circles and in different conversations that I've been having recently as well. So I want to make sure I plug that in there. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, that's going to dovetail into something else. A little, as I said, I'm going to talk about it a little further on because it comes back up in the segment. I just wanted to deal with it a little later on. But we're going to keep that in mind in terms of the making it safe to express. Because we've heard about it before, women being able to weaponize a man's expression. You share something and then it come back up in an argument, that kind of thing. So that's one reason, but there's another reason that kind of spins off from that, but that we can get to in a little bit. So give me 7, 8, and 9, Neil, and let me talk about them.
All right, cool.
The mystery of a boy's night out is one thing, but what about the explicit world of a man's sexuality?
I really ran smack up against the difference between male and female sexuality. Is that female sexuality is mental. It's up here. And male sexuality is a bodily function. It's a necessity. You just have to do it.
When we come back, Norah goes to strip clubs in the company of men as a man. Over the 18 months of venturing out in the world as a man, Norah Vincent guesses she put on Ned's whiskers and clothes about 150 times. After the bowling league, she was ready for love and sex.
You went to a couple of sex clubs. What were you trying to get at?
Well, at first I thought, this is sort of the quintessential guy thing to do, right? The bachelor party at the strip club. When I told people initially that I was doing this, they'd say, oh, you gotta go to a strip club.
She says the clubs were obviously sexual, but once again lacking in intimacy, which leaves men emotionally frustrated.
I saw the men there. I saw the looks on their faces. I saw them sitting alone, nursing their bourbon, and this is not about appreciation of women, of course. It's not about appreciation of their own sexuality. It's about an urge, and that's not always that pleasurable, really.
These guys who go to these high-priced clubs would say, this isn't about pain, it's about pleasure.
Men have had the tears and the emotional expression sort of pounded out of them from an early age, and so by the time they're men, they don't even have the vocabulary anymore or the emotional awareness to really say what they're feeling.
Norah says strip joints are about pure sex drive, completely empty of any meaningful interaction, even when a woman is gyrating on your lap.
But you're attracted to women. Were you ever aroused during any of these?
I really ran smack up against the difference between male and female sexuality, is that female sexuality is mental. It's up here.
Whereas for men, Norah says, sexuality is, shall we say, below the waist.
At its core, it's a bodily function. It's a necessity. It is such a powerful drive, and I think because we don't have testosterone in our systems, we don't understand how hard it is.
No pun intended. Ladies and gentlemen, you already watching the G-Syndicate podcast. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit notification bell so you don't miss anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So Norah has discovered that sex for men is really not a big deal, right? we just want to get it in where we fit it in, right? It's a necessity, a physical thing, right? And as such, men do not put a whole lot of stock into it, right? Sure. This explains why a man can love his woman. Stay with me, folks. He can love his woman, but still have sex with another woman, right? You know, when I don't like to hear that, but it is possible to happen, right? It's just a matter of the physical need. There's no emotional or mental connection, right? I know that is a difficult concept for women to grasp, but it is what it is. And I say all the time here on this channel, a man can have sex with a woman tonight. She get hit by a bus in the morning, and it would not mean anything to that man because she don't mean nothing to you. It's just somebody to scratch an itch, right? She's simply fulfilling a physical need. That physical need is going to be very important. When we come back, she talked about the lack of intimacy and all that in there as well. All that's important. So Neil, in an attempt to avoid the YouTube copyright laws, I had to chop this up in as small as I could get it. So you can go and give me 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, right?
So 10 to 14?
Yeah, 10 to 14. These are all related to Ned/Norah's dating escapades. So this is going to be very, very interesting stuff. Don't get triggered, gentlemen. Let's have a watch of these, all right?
Were you back in Australia?
Throughout the project, Ned dabbled in the art of picking up a woman.
Where'd your friend go?
We went with him to this bar, wearing hidden cameras.
This is my friend JC, I'm Ned.
Norah was reminded that in this arena, it's women who have all the power.
We sit there and we, just with one word, no, will crush someone. And the thing is, we don't have to do the part where you cross the room and you go up to a stranger and say the first words. And those first words are so hard to say without sounding like a cheese ball or sounding like a jerk or whatever else. And what do you guys do?
Norah says the brush-off Barbara Jones gave Ned was typical.
She was just sort of emblazoned with hostility, you know, just looked at you and you saw everything cross her face, which was, oh, God help me, not again. I'm trying to have a drink with a friend and I've got to deal with you.
Barbara was trying to dispose of Ned before her friend returned from the bathroom.
Anyway, we haven't seen each other in a while, so just to let you know.
Yeah.
Gotta head out to mom.
But Ned returned and told Barbara the truth about her gender.
Saying you gave us all the lines, like trying to get rid of us. I see it, and as a woman, I have such sympathy. I'm like, oh, I hate being this guy that you're trying to get rid of. You know?
Talking to a woman, Barbara seemed more open and friendly, and in the end, actually apologized for how she had treated Ned.
So
Sorry for being bitchy.
Please.
Does that kind of living in the skin of a man in the bar scene, in the dating scene, give you a different kind of respect for men?
It gives me a certain definite sympathy. And I don't mean that there's any disrespect, but it just makes me understand what's going on.
Norah, as Ned, also went on about 30 dates with women, mostly arranging them on the internet.
Did you have any fun?
Rarely. Rarely.
It was just an
pretty
ordeal.
Unpleasant. Yeah.
She says the pressure of Ned having to prove himself was grueling. Norah was surprised that many women had no interest in a soft, vulnerable man.
My prejudice was that the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. And I learned, no, that's really not. There are a lot of women out there who really want a manly man.
Ultimately, Ned told most of his dates that he was Norah. Many of the women reacted angrily, but usually just for a little while. Some women wanted to continue the relationship.
They remained interested in pursuing something further, you know, so whereas...
Sexually.
Yeah, and that was heterosexual women who, that's what I'm saying. It's all up here because they said, well, we connected and, you know, there's something I really like you and I don't care. How many guys would do that? That's the difference between male and female sexuality right there.
I love it. I really, really do. This is very interesting stuff. I really do love where this is going.
I told you. I see you, Carrie. You see you, Carrie. Okay.
Yeah, there's several things that came up for me with this. Again, so this is the deeper, the psychology side of it really coming out with this right now, because there is a game as a woman. There's a game that you are told to play a part in. When a man approaches, this is kind of the general social thing. As a woman, the game is the man is supposed to approach, right? And you are supposed to shut down, because you cannot open up to every single man that approaches you. Otherwise, you're a skank, right? So there's a very delicate kind of, it's a game. It really is a game. So if the guy approaches and says, let's say the equation of conversation is AQP, awesome. That means he's emotionally in tune. He has a good job. He speaks clearly enough. You feel safe enough with him, and you can go with that equation. If the equation of communication is ABZ, oh no, total timeout, shut that down, because he's not on the same level as you. Either don't earn enough money, or he have too many baby mamas. There are certain parts of communication, there's words that we're used to, or we're schooled in hearing as women, that will immediately get us to be bitch mode, shut down, because these, you know, that's the equation of communication, or allow for opening up to further learn about what's going on. So it's not necessarily that I don't think all women want to shut down men that approach them. But there is a protection mechanism that we are taught to use by listening to the types of words and the energy that he's exuding, that either gets you a second date or a drink, or gets you completely shut down and it's a no and I'm walking away, or the screw face like the lady we saw in the video.
If I can give some, okay, so it is interesting your perspective, because, and I'm glad you said not all women, because when you speak to some women, they say when you say protective, a lot of women see it as protecting themselves, because some women would believe that men are creeps, men are dangerous, right? So they don't want to be in a position where they are harmed or anything like that. There's also the notion of, because we're talking about not necessarily a first date, but we're speaking about just picking up a woman.
Just picking up, right? Yeah.
Right. And there's this school of thought that, when you got kind of know when as a man to approach a woman. When you ask a woman that, is like, woman's like, oh, when and I'm ready to receive, but it's like, I don't know when you're ready to receive. Like, we've heard a lot of experiences and heard a lot of stories in this space where you approach women, shoot, not even on that sort of like energy of trying to get to know them or whatever. Like, they may have dropped something, or you may have noticed something funny with regards to what's going on around you or whatever, and you make a comment, but they are in their attitude and in their behavior, in their physical behavior, they shut it down, right? But then when you hear women speak, they're like, a man can shoot his shot whenever, and we come to the conclusion that it is not about when and where to shoot a shot, it's the man. So, for example, if Michael B. Jordan go to shoot the shot at a woman in a line for paying her bills, that is gonna get a different energy than, let's say, myself or Derek approaching that woman. You understand? We may have the similar approach. We may have the similar
Yeah.
talking points. We may have the similar energy, but because we are not, maybe it is we are not dressed
Yeah.
exactly, or the clothes are not fitting
Yeah.
exactly, or we don't look like Michael B. Jordan.
That's
So
part of the communication equation that we're taught. That's what I'm telling you. There are certain words that we're taught to hear, to listen out for. There's a certain dress code that we're also taught to watch for.
but there's also a look. There's also a look.
There's
now.
a look. There's a whole thing that we are schooled. Many of us, if we're honest with ourselves as women, we are schooled either directly by our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers, or based on how we observe our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, girlfriends operate with men. We are schooled in how we are supposed to carry ourselves, shut down, engage, entertain, whatever we want to say, men when they approach, right? And we're also schooled that we're not supposed to be the ones approaching. That's the other thing that pisses me off, because I like to approach. I like the game on, flip the other way around, right? But I'm telling you, honestly, because I don't think this is something that guys know. Women are trained. We are taught how to shut you down, and we're taught from very early.
I actually think men are acutely aware. Yeah, because it's you speak about the familial part of it and thing, but I think also to consider the social media component of it, the social component of it, because at the
social
end of the
proofing,
day,
you gotta get that for your girlfriends.
exactly, because check it, right? We all know about the tall man thing. If I am 5'7" and I approach you versus me at 6'5" approaching you, I can get a completely different set of responses.
Hell yeah, because again,
so-
the psychology is if something is about to pop off, the man can't be shorter than me. I need him to defend and protect me because I'm woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a whole programming that we go through with that.
Yep. I mean, we spoke about physical attractiveness a few weeks ago, months ago, and physical attractiveness is a key component, right?
Yes.
So women have all the power in the dating situation, and Norah found this out. But this is where the conundrum comes for women, right? Because you have all the power when it comes to dating, initiating, and all that stuff, but you have absolutely no power when it comes to establishing a relationship.
So I'm glad you bring that up, right? Because something came to my mind there, not across you, but I have realized, and you guys can talk to this, right? I completely agree with you. Women have the power in the dating approach and everything like that, which man they want to, which suitor they want to entertain, etc., right? But when it comes to the establishment of a relationship and like the marrying process and everything, that's really on the mind. But in modern times, has that kind of the whole initial part of dating empowered women to kind of think they have the power holistically, like in the whole process? Because while we had in this space direct women saying that a man God proposed to them, they're not proposing to men, etc., 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 they still feel emboldened and empowered to always have a level of authority and power within the relationship. As a matter of fact, we've seen certain situations where women don't even want to hear the man even, undermine her authority, if you understand what I'm saying, or even come up with a suggestion or whatever like that. For example, if you come home and I watched a bit of content on this where you come home and say, "Hey babe, can you make me a sandwich?" You know what I mean? Or let me even paint the context a bit more. Like you've been doing yard work all day, right? You've been in the hot sun, tending the lawn, trimming the hedges, everything like that. You come in and say, "Hey babe, can I have a sandwich?" or can you get me a drink or whatever? And women would get really upset at that. Something as simple as the man being exhausted and wanting to just kind of decompress, take a shower, whatever. That is met with thing. We saw your man, Derek, where he came home from a double shift or something like that.
30-hour shift.
Right. And the woman eating stale pizza and get him on the crust because she ain't cooking nothing or whatever. So I wonder if that, because women know they have that power initially, right? And that's fine. I don't think we necessarily have a problem with that because, as Carrie Ann said, it's a game, right? It's just how the whole mating process is for human beings. It's just that has that psychology kind of now permeated into the whole trajectory of the relationship where the woman feels she got the power to start. And shoot, we've even had women kind of end things with men because it's not going to their timeline. Right? Where this man ain't moving according to how I want things to move or whatever. So, let me done with this thing because this man is serious. When really and truly, as y'all said, it is the man that really is supposed to be saying, all right, I have myself in a position or I have myself in a certain mental situation that I can extend the offer of a relationship to you.
Can I respond to?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if Derek wanted to continue.
I'll respond after you.
Okay. So I want to say yes to your question about if women feel empowered at this junction of life to extend into the initiation of or the direction of relationships. Yes, many women do feel that. And many women do feel that if it's not going according to their plan, right? And their plan could be based on biological clocks, because there are many women who want to be mothers. And given this whole, again, socialization, it has to happen before the age of 35, which is complete and utter BS, right? It can happen all the way up to age 55. But given some of this rhetoric that we're so used to playing over and over again, yeah, many women are like, okay, he got this, he has that, he may not have this and that, but I'm 32, I need to have a child before 35, so let we go, right? And then jump into a relationship, try and direct it, completely emasculate the man, or just perpetually cause all sorts of flare up of things and then say, okay, time to chuck this, move on, because there are more fish in the sea. A lot of men don't want no bitter woman, right? And I don't think men, this is one thing I'm definitely going to say to the men online. I think more of you need to be honest with women about how you perceive them, how you are feeling about them. In that, when you buck up those types of miserable, bitter women, somewhere, somehow, there needs to be some level of communication to say,
push back to that.
I'm sure you can push back. You can certainly push back. This is a pushback space. But there has to be some exchange, because there are women out there, and I know a few, who are willing to hear the exchange. I'm one. I know other girlfriends who are, because we believe in reciprocity. And I know it's a very small community of us in the world probably that believe in reciprocity, but we are there. And there is no way that I can ever make myself a wife unless a man says, you are my wife. I'm very clear on this. I can't run down any man to marry me and claim wifedom unless he says he is ready to do so. Yes, women talk about, I can be a mother and just go get a sperm donor kind of thing. Yeah, however, let's be really serious about this. Motherhood is truly complemented when there is father involved. That's complete motherhood. So this hustle and bustle kind of thing that a lot of women do, charging into relationships, directing the relationships, and then wondering why it's not working, baffles me how so many of us do that. But I think it's important to fight, which is what I'm saying, I understand that many of us as women many of us do want to hear the side of men, but many of us are not honest with ourselves in that we don't create these safe spaces for our male friends, much less our male partners, to honestly communicate with us. But there are opportunities to do so, and I really wish that we would work towards doing those exchanges more.
Right. So that's,
I want to say this because to the question about if it's a matter the initial stages of the relationship have empowered the women to think that they can control the course of the relationship. Yes, but Only with certain men.
Certain people, yeah.
Only with certain.
Correct.
Only with men that will allow that. Only with
Correct.
men that they think are not on the same level as them. To provide perspective, if you go, a woman may trade the same, as you said, trade certain things with me, trade certain things with you. They're not going to trade that with Michael B. Jordan. Because they know he got options here dealing with that. If you're flaring up, out goes you. So women will trade that
he
stuff.
got options, but they're not the top option.
Yeah. So you would try stuff, try to control that relationship and stuff like that. If you perceive that man is on your level or even below you, but with fellas that above them, women ain't trying that
We're
stuff.
not trying, right? Yeah.
Because women understand. Women understand for sure. Right?
Exactly. Right. Just real quick to what you were saying, Carrie Ann, the pushback I wanted to give you kind of touched on already, but essentially, you said men to be honest with women about, what they're going through, what they want, etc., the type of things they will and will not put up with, etc., right? As Derek said, that will never happen, that you will never, in that, women, we live in an age now where as soon as you tell a woman, shoot, and I ain't talking about in a hostile way or anything like that. If you say simply, I'm not, because I was watching Just Pearly Things, another content creator, just before we came on, and they were talking about the impact of Instagram on relationships. And there's been this talk permeating about if you're in a relationship, should a woman have her Instagram? Should she make it private? There's this whole talk around it. Now, if I am a man that sees a woman, she has an Instagram, she posts regularly in her bikinis, partying, etc., 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 and I say, well, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think that you should have that as my wife or my woman, have that on Instagram and guys thirsting after you, etc., etc. That woman can label me and put me on blast as a misogynist, as a antiquated.
Wait, sorry, where's my shot? Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, that has rum in it. If that doesn't have rum in it, it doesn't count. But in all seriousness, in all seriousness, we live in an age now where Derek speaks about chameleon, right? There are a lot of chameleons out there where at first glance, at first interaction, at the first few onsets of things, they're cool, everything nice, everything good. But then when you delve deeper and deeper into things and you say, well, I'm not comfortable with this as a man, or I kind of ain't feeling cool with this or whatever, then you get labeled as a bad person, or you get labeled as a person that want, you kind of stymieing, or you kind of looking to put a woman in a box, when really and truly is, I am just expressing that this is not the type of woman I like. If you are that type of woman, then we can mesh. You understand what I'm saying?
Then don't check for me. They don't check for me, because if you and this is where I get
the point we made earlier.
Yeah, right. This is a part of the confusion I have personally. If you see my Facebook, my Snapchat, all these other social media pages, and all I have going on these pages is topless shots and string bikinis and tongue hanging out and all this kind of thing, and you check in for me, and then when we get together, haphazard, like they get together, right? And then the guy says, I really don't want you to do that anymore.
You can't say that.
That's how you
can't say that.
Right.
Exactly.
How do you now move into saying that? That's what I don't understand.
You're deceitful.
Similarly, women who check for men who have the equivalent to that, right? You can check for a man who has whatever hanging out on his Instagram, and then when you want him to wife you, you start talking about how he have to shut that down now. He have to do this. He have
yes.
What? I don't get that. That's
we know
I don't understand. It's a setup.
Right. So like what I've realized there, and I talk about this behind the scenes. We say the same things, Carry on. We saying the same thing. We've said the same thing, but it's just that you pretty and you look good and you're a woman. That you don't everybody can take that and like it, right? But I completely agree. For me, I just want to say, like, it is easy. It's easy to. Sorry, not easy, but it is okay to say, to be honest with women about what you want and what you don't want, and your pleasures and displeasures and everything like that. But by the same token, it is very hard to find that space and those women in those types of things, right? Just as I am sure it's hard for women to find men of a certain ilk and stuff like that. So to say, like, to be honest with women, you worry, you run the risk of a woman feeling like you are kind of hitting at her or kind of criticizing her on her way of doing things, and she taking it out and saying that is you part of the patriarchal system. You getting put in 140 characters in gold on Twitter and social media. So I agree with you. I just want to be very clear. I do agree with everything you were saying. It's just that it is not as black and white as
It's not.
you know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I told you all this was the interesting part. She was emblazoned with hostility. That's what Norah said, not me. Okay? That lady in the interaction. And here's the thing, she described it as a typical brush off. So emblazoned with hostility is considered a typical brush off, to Carrie Ann's point about just shutting down and stuff like that, right? The hurtful part about this is that she apologized for being bitchy. Her word, not mine. Flag them,
Apologized
not
to
me.
But she apologized to the woman and not the man.
To Norah. Hold tight.
Go ahead, brother.
Please note, she wasn't asked to apologize.
Right.
But she offered an apology anyway. Which tells us, folks, you want to guess what it tells us? I'm glad you asked. Well, it tells us that she knew exactly how she was behaving.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we know.
Right? To Carrie Ann's point. They coached, right? She was fully aware that she was being deliberately unpleasant. But this is the next part of the Joe A&O. Ned, not Norah this time, Ned said that Norah said that when she was Ned, she rarely had fun on the dates on which she went. Let us sink in for a minute. I don't want the men to do some thinking here now. Men do their level best to get women to go on dates where the possibility and the likelihood of having a good time is low. Consider that. Right? The next part of it now. But you look at that. Women have no interest in a soft, vulnerable man. That's what Norah said, not me. That's what Norah said. That ain't me, that ain't need that Dr. Kerry. That is Norah. So now we see why men are loath to show and express tenderness. Yeah? As Norah would have said in one of the earlier clips, right? This is what we were talking about from earlier. I tell you, we can get to it. We're here now, right? Here it is. Men want sex for women, but to hear Norah tell it, women don't want soft, vulnerable men. Ergo, because at the end of the day, men want sex. Women will tell you that's the only thing men want sex. So if men want sex, and women do not want soft, vulnerable men, but ergo, ipso facto, soft men, vulnerable men will not get sex from women. So it stands to reason that men will cut out the softness and the tenderness and the vulnerability and safe space and all that there that Neil like to talk about in an effort to get some sex.
I learned it. Trust me, I learned it. I learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned it the hard way.
And this, to the point we made just a few minutes ago, is also why men will not say what they want from women. Because at the end of the day, it's about the possibility of sex. Alan Roger Curry, the possibility of sex makes men do all kinds of ignorance, put up with all kinds of ignorance, just hoping that they could get some stomach, right? Now, this is the next interesting part here. Please also note that some women were willing to have a sexual relationship with her, even though they were heterosexual. Let me get Fab Five here.
I'm working on that soundboard for you, by the way, so that we can have it on the stream and not, you got moving mic and thing. I'm working on that. Working on a solution.
Appreciate it. Yeah. They were willing, heterosexual women were willing to continue a sexual relationship with a lesbian. Shoot, not even a lesbian, with a man that they found out was a woman, right? Why? Because there was that emotional connection. And this now, folks, is why men get so upset when their women step out. Because it means that there's a connection between the other man or woman, in this case, which replaces the connection that they had with their partner. So on the one hand, you got men, we could put it, where is Seth Rogen to say on Zach and Mary make a porno, a rubber band and 2 lolly sticks, and we find a way to make it work. We jollies off of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But women, not so much. This is why, fellas, if the woman upset, if she vexed, had a long day at work, it's going to impact your sex life. That is why it works like that. Yeah, I know we deep doing it here tonight, right? Give me video 15, Neil, and let's crack on. We got a lot to get through.
All right, you're on screen.
Norah says she found differences not only in sexuality and intimacy, but in every walk of life.
I'm in the market for a car, and
take, for example, shopping for a new car. Going in as Norah, the sales pitch quickly becomes flirtatious.
Any guy that gets in is going to feel like, okay, this girl's...
I want to date this girl just for a car.
Well, I didn't say it.
But going back to the same salesman as Ned, the tone was all business, and the talk was all about performance.
They have the 3-liter Duratec V6 engine.
And in the end, a personal touch for Norah the salesman would never have offered Ned.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh. Ooh. Look at that. My closing our sale.
You doing something?
Yeah. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for Derek to catch up, you are watching the Senate podcast. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit notification bell. Get these likes up, people. Let me go. Let me get it.
Yeah,
man. We got a whole doctor in here. What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying. So now, folks, we see that even to buy a new car, there's a big difference in the salesman's approach, right? Norah got a softer and more flirtatious interaction, which probably won't fly in 2022. That's a B2 case. Well, Ned got a more serious and business-like approach. Shoot, Norah even got a kiss on the cheek. Please note, Norah is 5'11". This man is not that. She's towering over him. But because she went as Norah, a woman, that man still felt like, you know what? It's a man-woman dynamic. I could kind of shoot my shot of sorts with this woman who's towering over me, right? The reaction is totally different. When Ned comes in, it's all about the cars, the performance of the cars, etc. Right? Number 16 there, Neil. Let's keep pushing. As I said, we got a lot to get through. We got a few more. Let me just keep moving on.
All right, on screen.
In Norah's final months as Ned, she upped the ante, infiltrating all male inner sanctums. But after 18 months of deception, she was unraveling, and the play acting at a men's wilderness encounter group would begin to scare her.
One guy had chopped up a log pretending it was his wife. So I thought, great, we're going to have axes and knives. So I was terrified.
Having survived strip clubs, dating, and a bowling league, Norah Vincent wanted Ned's last days to be among men only, in private and intimate surroundings. Norah, a lapsed Catholic, thought the cloistered inner world of a monastery would be ideal. Ned managed to live for 3 weeks as a trainee. The monks, she says, were pious, smart men, but they were still men.
What made it prototypically male? What do you mean by that?
The breakdown in communication, the need, the desperate need for male intimacy, and the lack of ability to give it, really painful.
Norah says the monks were hostile to her feminine side. She says she was ostracized because of the monks' assumptions about her sexual orientation.
Ned was really at the center of it because he was an effeminate man, and many of them thought I was gay. As one of them told me in confession, I said, I have something to confess to you. And he said, well, I think I know what it is. And I said, what? And he said, well, you're gay. And I said, well, yeah, but not in the way you think.
Loneliness.
Damn. Yep.
So Norah, Ned went to a monastery to interact with the men, but she was ostracized because she was effeminate, right? And it's a monastery, the men are dealing with certain things. But I want y'all to consider that even a woman who is coached, she was coached on how to lower the voice. She had on the steel, not steel, with the wool on the face and all that. how to walk, how to talk. 5'10", so she's probably taller than most of the men in that monastery. Wearing a size 11 shoe, but she still was considered. I'm sure we've seen Norah the bowling alley and stuff like that. Yeah, squint look, you look like a man, but around other men, she was still considered effeminate. So yeah, you might be around women. Norah / Ned is very much a man, the man of, but amongst other men, suddenly Ned is just an effeminate man, right? Give me number 17, Neil.
All right, let's get it.
Norah thought the perfect end to her 18-month saga was to join a men-only therapy group, a place where guys tried to bond and show their emotions instead of hiding them.
They don't get to show the weakness. They don't get to show the affection, especially with each other. And so often all of their emotions are shown in rage.
And they kept talking about their rage, often their rage toward women and what they would do physically and violently towards women.
Right. A lot of this was blowing off steam. It's sort of talking about the things that need to be said that you know you would never do. I mean, you know, they would talk about fantasizing about chopping up their wives or something. It's not that they would ever do that, but it was a way to get out the blackest thoughts.
I don't know. I never really ever talked about that kind of thing, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, put it this way, right, Neil? Chris Rock has a bit where that he does, or used to do rather, where he says, if you've never contemplated murder, you ain't never been in love. If you've never been at Home Depot looking at a shovel and some duct tape, and the only thing that stopped you was an episode of CSI, you ain't never been in love. Because you know you can get caught. Grissom can got you. Horatio got you. Right?
A little bit of fast.
Sometimes, ladies, this is my bit for you for tonight. Your man is upset, and it is your fault. Sometimes. I know it sounds far-fetched, but yes, that does happen, right?
Plenty time.
Some people don't think that, right? Some people think, sure, it's your man's fault. I mean, he gets to that in a couple of clips, right? Sometimes he has thoughts that he really can't give voice, right?
Yeah.
But Norah categorized that as blowing off steam. These men would talk in order to get out the darkest of the thoughts, right? So, as she also said, it's not like they were going to do those things. They just needed to kind of talk and get it out of the system. Carrie Ann, you mentioned that on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Write it out. Get it out. Mm-hmm. Get it out of your system. And that's what these men were doing on this retreat. So, gents, I want to suggest a healthy outlet for your feelings. So, get in the gym, take up boxing, kung fu, karate, something, so you can blow off that steam, as Norah says.
Sorry to cross.
See what Daniel is in the chat. Shout out Daniel.
But the reason why is because he said he leaving. So thanks for joining, Daniel. Hope everything good with your family.
Everybody else hit the like button. If you ain't subscribed yet, you see we up to 417 subscribers, so let me get it up even further, right? Gents, find a healthy way. I ain't talking about no rum now and drugs and all kind of things. Find a healthy way to blow off the steam, as Norah said, right? Do not let these thoughts overwhelm and envelop you, and then you go, then you do something crazy, right? And let me be real, everybody's got them thoughts at some point. Is it this woman or this man? Everybody's got them thoughts, but you gotta find a healthy way to deal with them, so that you don't go do something that, you know, a little out there, right? And something that you probably can't come back from. Don't put the preposition at the end. Something from which you can't come back. So, sorry, that's back at the end. Something from which you can't return. Got it?
Yeah.
Right. Give me video 18 there, Neil.
On screen.
Norah began to empathize with the fear and stress men feel for having to always be the strong provider. The therapy leader, psychologist John Gornishelli, saw Ned's shyness as typical of a newbie coming to brave the group.
A lot of the guys spoke to me after the retreat and said, talking to him, I felt like I was talking to somebody feminine.
Once again, some group members thought Ned was gay, but no one suspected he was a woman. After 8 sessions, the group went on a backcountry retreat, but Norah's 18 months of being an imposter was closing in on her.
The pressure of being someone that you're not, and being the fear of discovery and the deceit that it involves piles up and piles up. So by the time I got around to doing this men's group, it was really reaching critical mass.
On the retreat, her fear became palpable.
And I was out in the woods with a bunch of guys who have rage issues about women, and I was in drag, and I thought, oh God, you know, what am I doing?
Norah was unraveling. She felt guilty about lying, as though she should be punished. In the final ritual of the weekend, the men were to act out the problems unearthed at the retreat with a partner.
And you asked that he harm you?
Yeah, I did. At that point, I was starting to really kind of crack up. I was really...
You were coming unglued.
Yeah.
So you were asking this guy to cut you?
To cut me. So self-mutilation is very much a female thing, and I think it was my way of paying the penalty for what I felt I had done.
Norah was not harmed physically.
Such an interesting thing.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more interesting things I've watched in a long time, right? Please note, folks, as upset as those men were, and as many rage issues, to use the words that she used, as those men had, Norah was not harmed, even though she expressly asked to be harmed. Right? But we've had a man. Men are not as bad as people like us to believe. Men are not as terrible as people would like us to believe. We had a man who came in this chat back in season 1, showed up season 1, and said that men are dangerous, and if he was a woman, he would have a gay friend for companionship and a dildo for pleasure. Yeah.
That was a married man. Don't just say a man. That was a married to a woman man. Let me be very, very clear.
And I have to say that still rubs me very raw when I hear something like that expressed. But all men are not terrible. All men are not dangerous, even the ones who have the raised issues, as Norah would have highlighted, right? We ain't all bad. So sometimes it could give you a little bit more grace, ladies. You know, don't immediately just have your face emblazoned with hostility. I love that that term. I'm definitely going to use that. Yeah, it could give you a little more grace. You ain't necessarily going to shut all the way down all the time. Yeah, some people out there creeps and you got to be protective of yourself and your space, but you can get a little time. Just a little bit of time.
I tell you,
yeah, 2 minutes.
Grace will be before meals and for canned goods here. That's what I tell you grace will be before. Before meals and canned goods.
This is so true. Give me 19. This one's short, but there's a bit of bad mind that I need to deliver. So give me video 19.
But she continued her emotional descent, and a week later checked into a hospital with severe depression. Identity, she concluded, was not something to play around with.
When you mess around with that, you really mess around with something that you need that helps you to function. And I found out that gender lives in your brain, and it's something much more than costume. And I really learned that the hard way.
I see you, Derek. I see you. I see you. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Dawn. Identity was not something to play around with. That's what she's saying, right? She battled with depression and all that. She was to do 2 years. She only did 18 months. But because she had to be, she was cosplaying a man, if you want to call it that. It took such a toll on her that she had to cut that out, check into the hospital, right? Identity was not something to play around with. Looking at you, Dwayne Wade. But yeah, carry on. I see you. Come forward. You got something to say.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Identities are not to be played with. Just like you guys always talk about this too, in various segments. The women being too much in their masculine or men being too much in their feminine. Same kind of concept. The overload of things that is not necessarily aligned in your true ways, in your true alignment, it screws you up. It leads to dissociated states of being and can lend to very grave physical illnesses. So yeah, I completely agree with it. It's a very dangerous thing to play around with.
All right, Neil, then give me 20 because we coming to the end. We got 2 more, so give me clip number 20.
All right. Clip number 20 on screen.
Norah says she's healed now and glad to be rid of Ned, but her views about men have changed forever.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they don't have it better. They need our sympathy, they need our love, and they need each other more than anything else. They need to be together.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue. No idea.
So I want to be clear, right? As Derek and Carrie Ann catch up, right? I want to be very clear. This was aired in 2006. I just want to put that into context. This ain't a no thing that men all of a sudden know want to have a space where we feel safe and men suffering like this. 2006. And that's only because she decided to do this experiment and do it. So just want to put that out there.
Men are suffering. She said they need to be together. They need each other more than anything else. Yeah. Much like iron, men are sharpened by men. Iron sharpens iron, men sharpen men, right? A raging feminist. No, not raging. Was he where to use? A radical. A radical feminist said that. Not me, not Neil, not Derek. Just Carrie, right? Men need to be together. They need to sharpen each other. They need to push each other. Yeah. And she said what? Men are suffering. And as Neil said, this is in 2006. Sorry, when the book come out. The research happened before then. The research happened before then. Men are suffering. But we pop up now. A partner of mine tell me he was watching the last week show we did on Elizabeth Overson.
The Right Honorable?
Yeah, the Right Honorable Elizabeth Overson. He was watching that show. His girl was nearby, and she was very upset and said we talking shit, so she was gone. And that's fine. That's fine. Do you, boo?
It is what it is.
Check me in 15 to 20. Let me know how it work out. Right? Need to give me video 21 so we can wrap this thing up, and I can bring it all home for you. It is 9:28 in Barbados and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, folks.
Here we go.
John Guarnaschelli thinks Norah's conclusions that men are just as emotionally vulnerable as women are important and will be taken seriously because they came from a woman.
I said to her, this is going to be revolutionary because it's been looked at as though men were the perpetrators and women were the victims.
And now, one last identity switch. Guarnaschelli has never come face to face with the real Norah.
Hi, John. I'm Norah.
Hi.
It's
wow. Bruce teaches, so we can never come to the meetings. So.
And both John and Norah are happy she is a she. The irony is not lost on Norah that it took a trip into manhood to help her appreciate her own femininity.
I'm so much closer to myself than I ever was, that I really like me. I really like being me, and I really like being a woman.
Did you like being a woman before, Ned?
I did, but I like it more now, because I think it's more of a privilege.
That's perfect right there. That's awesome like that. Nice.
I'm sorry for laughing, right? But I had to have a laugh because my mom said it's going to be revolutionary. 20 years ago. And here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. Not only that, my mom saying we take it seriously because it was coming from a woman.
Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh, right? But come on, son.
No, much of the guy, I would like to have thought that Norah's work would have been seminal and informative, right? And taken seriously, as he said, because it's coming from a woman. Unfortunately, that's not the case, as clearly we can see. Quite the opposite, actually. Why? Because this particular work that she conducted and what came out of it goes against the grain of the narrative. right? Now, if she had become a man for 18 months, and all of a sudden opportunities had opened up and she was living high on the hog, as you would like to say, Neil.
Women were draped all over her and money.
It would be a very different story. We would have heard about this work ever since, right?
Oh, Lord. We wouldn't even be here talking.
This segment is 20 years old nearly, as you say, Neil. And what did the doctor say? I can't remember his name. I can't get a call. Dr. John, I'm going to call him that, right? Men have always been considered the perpetrators and women the victims. He said that back in 2006. I mean, 50 years ago, you know. I mean, yeah. This is still the case today. Yeah. And that explains why Norah Vincent has been as suppressed, his work rather, has been as suppressed as her death, which wasn't reported until a month had passed. Yeah. Because it goes against the grain. She went to find out that men were living life easily and discovered that was far from the case. She put up what she found, and people was like, we brush that one side.
Yeah, that goes against the
all
narrative.
of a sudden, up pops this story of this radical feminist who tried to be a man and ended up saying, you know what, I can call it quits by this thing. And that can't come out. Why? Because I got this picture to you at least 4 times. I got this picture at least 4 times. Because when this comes out now that this lady has passed, and why they're saying she passed, now we got to ask the question.
A lot of things.
We really getting the truth here.
And not only that too, but consider this too, Derek. Not only when it comes to my woman dynamic, but also when it comes to gender identity and the ill effects of that whole transitioning process.
And what we into now these days is clearly having very deleterious effects on the people who go through this stuff. But we don't want to hear that, so we kind of suppress it. And when she dead, we suppress that too, because if we say that she passed, now we all of a sudden we got to go into her work. And going into her work, we can discover what she found out. And we don't want that, right? It's better to kind of let's brush it aside and hope nobody don't realize. Anyhow.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are indeed watching the Senate podcast. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Get the likes up, people, and share the content. Let's do that. Let's build this community. Let's build the platform. For me, Derek, obviously, Norah ain't spitting facts for me and you. Like, these are things that we've known as men since before we had puberty here. We just know that life was going to be a challenge as a man, right?
Pretty much.
What I will say is there are a lot of things that I have learned through. I have learned a lot of things as a man through a lot of experiences that I have had with women, right? I have learned, when she says go to your boys, like there's a saying in our group chat where it says go to your boys. They've had a lot of times that I have purposely not spoken to my boys about what's been going on with me and my troubles and tribulations or whatever, and sought the comfort of women for that, right? To talk, because I thought that, I would be less judged speaking emotionally and in a space of vulnerability with a woman, right? And I have found that it really is beneficial for men to really confide with men, particularly when it comes to men issues, when it comes to men problems and men challenges, right? I'm not saying not to confide in women. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, talk with your woman or women with regards to these things. But by the same token, don't let that be your only source of confiding in someone, because you run the risk of getting a perspective from someone that doesn't know what your experience is as a man. Not saying that it'd be right or wrong, but it could be conflicting. I also want to hit home again that, we started this channel because, yes, we wanted to push back on some of the rhetoric and narrative that is out there, right? Because we as 2 individual men, and together we've been demonized, we've been victimized. And I know I can say demonized and victimized, and people will be like, oh, how dare you as a man use those words? But yeah, we get classed up as some things that we are not. We've been treated a certain type of way. Shoot, there have been times where we innocently went to say, hold open a door or pick up something somebody drop or whatever and get called all of these different things. Shoot, to this day we are labeled as get ready to drink, carry on, a misogynist, misogyny, right? And it just gets it becomes frustrating because you are not that, your friends are not that, you have not really encountered any of that in your close inner circle, and yet you are classed up with the minority of men that do atrocious things. Shoot, even when Norah was talking about the violence or the rage that she expected men to have, and even some of the things they would have confided in their little retreat, where they did fantasize about those things, but only in a means to excise those thoughts, right? To me, that is, for me, we just have to find ways to let go and let out certain emotions. Yes, there are men that do atrocious things to women, no doubt. But when you look at the statistics, when you look at the numbers, and I ain't talking about anecdote or what you perceive, right? When you go by hardcore data, numbers, facts, statistics, it is a far minority of a society where those things happen. Yes, people can say, oh, but I know a man, your man is verbally abused and mentally abused women and this and that and the next and the third. But women do that too. And there's no concrete, conclusive evidence that shows that 80% of men do this, while 40% of women do this. No. If you were to poll a subset of women and men, they will both say verbal, emotional abuse does happen. Shoot, withholding sex is emotional abuse. We got a doctor. She can tell you withholding sex for your partner, especially when Norah said it, when she did the experiment. We as men been telling you that. It is a function of ours, a bodily function. You understand? We need to get that itch out of the way. So when you withhold sex, when you decide to emasculate a man, or you get to undermine him and what he does and everything like that, you know what I mean? Like, he makes a decision and you're like, you know what, he know what he's doing, so let me do it because I feel like I know better, right? Particularly when it goes to crap. Those things can be considered emotional abuse, because we men don't cry, we men don't shout, we men just shut down. We men shut down and we say, you know what, I ain't making no sense talking. Because we are tired. We are tired of the perception that society has painted us as monsters. And it is the overwhelming majority of men. The small subsector of men that are desirable, that fit in that small bracket of men that most women will gravitate toward, those men are beyond reproach unless something real egregious comes out in their past and history, right? But me and Derek, as two average normal men, we ain't got no chance, and we are good men. Here's the thing. The same thing about emotional men and vulnerable and stuff like that. In my experience, I have been that. I have been an emotional, vulnerable man to people that I've cared about, and I have created spaces where I have been told that there's no other man like me when it comes to creating and fostering that space. And yet still, women would choose not to be with me or to pass up on me because of not fitting a particular narrative or a particular situation in their life. And for me, it is exactly. And for me, it's frustrating because I watch time and time and time and time again where a woman would say, yeah, you almost got it, but you ain't it. And then still not find somebody that is like me or like there or anything like that. They would marry, they would be in a relationship, but then have problems in communication and vulnerability and emotional connections and stuff like that after a while. Because you see, in my opinion, we men just try, and we just try more than we get credit for, especially when it comes to the things that we are not known for, which is emotion, vulnerability, and communication. We try, especially if it is for someone that we are willing to provide, protect, and defend, and put our life on the line. When we decide to be with a woman and to marry a woman, if a man kick open the door, we're willing to die for that woman. And if we're willing to do that, if we're willing to die for a woman, we're willing to say, okay, how can I reach this woman on a common ground that is effective for her? Right? But then we don't get that reciprocation. We get rejected outright, and we're done with that because we've not been taught to process that emotion. But slowly but surely, it is coming to light. So for me, I think that this has been a very good episode. This has been a very good edition. because it is more to highlight. And I'm glad that we had Dr. Carrie on, a woman, and a psychologist essentially, to talk about how it is not, we are not, like, you don't pull off the Scooby-Doo mask and we is the villain. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes when you're looking for a villain, you're looking for a bad guy, and you pull off the mask, it is you. It is you that have made bad decisions in your life and continue to feed your soul, mentals, and your spirit and everything like that bad information. Life today is about excess. It is about luxury. It is about over-the-top experiences. And then when you see that the machine of capitalism is geared toward having women spend money, we men are put in an unrealistic situation where we gotta meet that criteria. We ain't no longer that we gotta go a job, is we gotta go a career. It's no longer that we got work and ambition, is that we gotta make a certain amount of money. Ain't enough to say that we, loving, caring, and tender and emotional. We gotta be over 6 foot. We gotta go shoot here. Miss Overson say we gotta go 8 inches and above. We gotta go 6 abs. You know what I mean? Like, it is frustrating to hear as a man. I know Derek may could talk to this. It is frustrating to meet a woman. Is frustrating to be connected with a woman, and you hear, I like this about you, and you almost there, but you don't fit this narrative. You don't fit this thing, or you've made a decision as a man that you have tried your best to let the other person understand where you're going with it and what's going on, but they write you off because you have done this thing that they are conditioned to not accept. You know what I mean? I have been written off because of people I've associated with in a fact. Like, you in a fact, you see a fella, what going on, brother? So what? Do you know that fella? Nah, boy, he right off. I have been written off because of the woman I have, a bad decision in a woman I have chosen to date. There are subset of people that just don't have anything to say to me, no. They may know nothing about me. Shoot. There are people, because of this space and this podcast, right? They may got nothing, they may got word one to say to we. We write off simply because we are going against the grain and the narrative that, hey, men are not as bad as you really think. And maybe just like now, as Derek said, give us some grace and understand that, hey, you don't understand our struggles. We got different struggles too. And, we're trying to get back to a space where we can fit a common ground. No, we don't. We're not going to fly you out and buy you a Bentley and a Birkin bike, and we can carry you on a $2,000 date and all, first date and all. We're not doing that, even if we could do it. If I'm a millionaire, I am not carrying no woman on no $2,000 first date. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it because you set up yourself.
It ain't tricking if you got it, man. It ain't tricking if you got it.
It ain't trick. You could talk. You like Derek Marshall. Maybe I would never have a woman if that's the case. But in my opinion, if I am a millionaire and I carry you on a $10,000 first date, I carry you to Salt Bay where the meals are $8,000, $8,500 US for a meal just to see you do that, right? I pay for that. But shoot, second date, third date, 150th day, anniversaries and thing. Why can't I carry you back to a thing? But shoot, you bear my children, so now I can't carry you to a meal that we do for the first date. Why you look like this, Kentucky? I'm just saying, let's be realistic. You want partners. You want men. You do. Or, sorry. For those of you that want men and want marriage and want relationships, I mean genuinely want it, because a lot of y'all out there need to talk to yourself and say, yo, I'm really built for this life. I know if I really built for this life, A lot of y'all saying that you want a man or where all the good men gone and they want my husband again and trouble somebody, son, this, that, next, the third. But when the rubber come to meet you, road, when and they saying because the man tricky hand in you, or they saying because the man curse you or nothing like that, because the man simply said, you know what, I do not like the way you are talking to me. The same way we talking about Instagram. You met the man where every Saturday he's gonna line with his boys. You met the man knowing that every Saturday he's gonna be line with the boys. Right? He has done that for years. But no, because when I'm married and in a house now, you gotta start home. You gang, decide again by the boys. Nah. No sex for you tonight. Nor for the next 2 weeks. If you want a husband, if you want a man, you want to marry, you have to understand how the person you want to partner with works and functions and thinks. You will not get into business. Like, you ain't just one day pick up and say, I can get in business with like me and Derek. All of a sudden, we meet a podcast company that say, yeah, we love on a podcast, we want things. And we just say, all right, we're the dotted line, and we don't do research. We don't know how them thinking, what their brand is, and what they align with, and if they align with our values. No, we ain't just right on the dotted line just because a multi-million-dollar podcast company say we like you and we want you. No, we can do our due diligence because we don't want to sell away we soul. We don't want stress or nothing like that.
Not of the sexual variety, sexual due diligence.
Exactly, right? So do your due diligence. And I've figured it out in the space of doing this podcast. I think people want what they want, which is fine. But at some point, you have to realize that what you want could be literally staring you in the face. It could literally be there for you, but you've chosen not to have it simply because you have been trained, you have been indoctrinated, I can use that word, to look for a man that's 6'5", look for a man that built and muscular, look for a man that driving a Bentley, look for a man. I literally am tired of watching content where people are talking about men, about what they must and must not have. When you hear a woman give her list of things that a man must have and not have, nowhere in that do you hear he has to be a good man. He has to be a man of God. He has to be a man that treats women right. He has to be a man that has a good relationship. Like, very rarely do you hear those characteristics. Will you hear? You got a job. You got a career. You got to be 6'5". You got to be adventurous. You got to be willing to. So you pick up the man that fits your first 10 priority things. You check off them things like, yeah, he tall, yeah, he got money, yeah, okay. Right? Kindness and how he treats you and everything is now number 10, 12, 11 if he's a God-fearing man, if he treat women right and whatever like that. But when the man turn out to be just that, a dud, when it comes to the context of committed relationships and marriage, all of a sudden now you vex at the man. But you ain't ask for that. You didn't check in for that when the man was flying you out. You didn't check in for that when the man was driving you boat, he Bentley. You didn't check in for that when the man was long stroking you with he 12-inch, whatever, and 6'5". You weren't checking for that.
This is why I gave so much pushback to the article that said men need to improve their relationship skills and all that from Psychology Today, because you see it every night. We've seen enough Kevin Samuels and Kendra G to know that these women call into these programs. The new one is the Pineapple Show. They call into these programs. And the last, matter of fact, they don't even ask for that. They don't ask nothing about my character.
Nope.
It's always centered around how much money you're making, what kind of job you got.
How we gonna treat me materialistically and experience
materialistically, what you gonna buy, what you gonna do for me, as opposed to
what you gonna do for me. Yep.
Yeah, what kind of person are you? What do you believe in terms of rearing children and that kind of thing? You don't ask for those things. And I maybe did the episode on physical attraction. Beauty is only skin deep, I think is the name of it. You can check that out. Go back, folks. Take a look. See, these linked together things so it makes sense, Anyhow,
if you could go back coming together.
Yeah, when you go back and you check that, we spoke to the article written by the matchmakers from Essence Magazine. They said the women check for and Carrie Ann verified it there tonight. In terms of the communication, was communicated. All right, he's this tall, he look a certain way, you scan or he meets that, take that. And then we start going into how much money you making, that kind of thing. And then we try to reverse engineer how is he a good person, how he can treat me, what he feel about children, that kind of things. So we deal with that after the fact. Whereas the ladies said that the Caucasian, the lighter complected ladies read about it the other way. They look for those things first and then hopefully come in a package that look a certain way.
But I want also add to, right, before I let Carrie Ann jump in here, is that also to consider that there are some women out there that literally have what they want in a man orbiting them. They literally have the physical characteristics, the communication, the vulnerability. They got all of the things they want. But they still don't want that person based on one or two things that they can't just kind of, communicate with the person to get past or get through or anything like that. Right? So, like, for example, you may want a man that has all of these things. He has 8 of the 9 characteristics. But just because, something is off or he did something or whatever, you kind of disregard him. You say, nah, that ain't gonna work for me. I ain't there. I ain't dealing with that. Right? But then now when you're dealing with another man And the man ain't communicating like this, man. The man ain't vulnerable for you. The man ain't emotionally supportive of you. The man ain't tall like that. The man ain't treating you like that. Then all of a sudden, now, because this is something that I've realized women do. Women start to look for what was not in their previous relationship. So if the man wasn't, this man, let's say this man cheat on me. The next man I got in and cheat on me. You stick out so much that the man had to cheat on you that you neglect all the other things. So now you got a man that don't cheat on you. But when night come here talking to you, when night come, the man ain't supporting you emotionally. The man, you can't have a conversation with this man. You can't share spiritually with this man. This man ain't carrying you out nor nothing. When it comes to things like sex and intimacy and carrying out the things that you love, the man ain't treating you with value.
Neil, I sent you a video there that kind of is funny because based on what you're saying, and it kind of speaks directly to what you're talking about. So while Carrie Ann gathers her thoughts on that, you can run that video, and it's only about 5 seconds though, Carrie. So don't take that you got a year. Gather your thoughts and come back, right?
It's okay. You can show the video. I have my notes.
All right.
Good. She be making notes, man. She's a PhD, man. She makes notes. She ain't like me. Couldn't spell PhD back in the day. Anyhow,
it's true.
Right, so this is the woman that this is 3 minutes and 49-second video, right?
5 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds video.
You sent me a 5-second video? Yeah. Oh, you just sent it. Okay.
Only 5 seconds.
Let me get that.
So while you're setting that up, folks, this is the Set It Podcast here on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Yeah, hit the notification bell to ensure you don't miss any of the stuff we got coming down the pipeline for you. I hope we've been having an interesting discussion for you guys tonight. So let me check out this one.
Yeah, you're on screen now. Oh, gotta mute that. Can't play that music. Sorry, let me play it again. Let me play that again. I don't even know if people could see the caption. All right, let me try to make this. There, I may go block you out for a minute.
That ain't no problem.
Right, so let me play it again. Let me go from the beginning. Right, me ignoring all the men who give me everything I'm looking for, but aren't physically attractive. And you know, I see that a lot where I have seen that a lot where a lot of women always come back and say, "Child, I shouldn't have," because it's like regret. He talking about physical, but it could be something else. And I don't know, man. It for me, I just is a lot. Anyhow, tired of hearing about me. We have a beautiful young lady here in the middle. Let's hear from her.
Okay, so I have some notes, and I want to get some feedback on these pieces.
All right.
I hope you guys give me some feedback, and I want the men and the women in the chat as well to also give feedback. So the first thing when that came up when Neil was going through his sermon is this concept or notion, and Derek, you said it through your piece too, that men are detached from sex, in that sex is a function for men versus a connection point or an emotional point for women. And I want to push back on that because I think sex is actually a communication and connection and emotional point for both men and women. It's just that, again, the dynamic has been, you know, from days of being young boys, it's what you do to kind of make yourself a man, right? Go knock that, you know, whatever, do that. You grow up now, you're a man. And from here on out, you're taught that sex becomes a function, not necessarily a means of communication. You're not taught necessarily that it's a means of connection, a means of vulnerable energy exchange. So when you hear women talking about those things to some of their partners, it's like, what the hell is she talking about? That don't make no goddamn sense. Sex is sex. Actually, it is more than that. And then particularly as a woman who values and greatly respects myself and values and greatly respects the men that I have been sexually engaged with, sex is more than just a physical function for both men or women. Yes, I agree. There are moments where you're like, look, man, I just need to get my back blown out. I get that, right? But even in getting your back blown out, there is still that communication that is happening. There is still a level of connection that is happening, especially if it is unprotected sex, right? There is a serious level of communication that happens. I mentioned to a friend of mine today about soul ties, and he was like, what? What is that? These things they happen to be real. They may sound quirky and, like otherworldly and this kind of thing. But if you seriously think about the types of relationships you've had with people sexually and what those people have meant to you over time and how deep the heartbreak has been for some of those situations, you realize that there is more than just a function, right? So that's one thing I wanted to highlight, that I push back on men who say sex is just sex and they can compartmentalize. Women compartmentalize too. I've done it in my days, but I also have come back to the fact that there is a serious connection, and you have to be quite discerning when it comes to those intimate exchanges. The second thing that came up as Neil was talking about this process that he has observed within his dating arena, where women say, you got the 8 out of 10 things, these 2 things you don't have, so on to the next. And speaking about, you have the emotional capability, you have this vulnerability, you communicate whatever the things are, but you don't have whatever else. My question is, does it ever get processed by a man to say, okay, if I'm hearing this from a woman, am I too tilted in my emotion? Am I overly emotional based on the socialization structures of men and women? And then what does that mean for how I then balance as a man with that tilt? So am I overly emotional, or, how do I get that balance back? And then what does communication now look like with that person? I wonder, do men ever hear that and then assess differently versus just saying, all right, well, she on to the next and that's just it? Like, I feel like, again, an area of pushback on the women who say that kind of foolishness. Well, then what is it? What is it that you are not receiving and would like to receive? You can't just, say you don't have these other 2 things and so I gone. I feel like there's so many cop-outs that we do, and we need to hold each other accountable if we are serious about intentionally dating. Like you had mentioned, Derek, earlier this week, like we have to date with intention. And I agree. Even if you just foopsing around, I think there is intention in foopsing around.
You say foopsing? No, the word is foop. Foop, not foopsing.
I love it.
But
Yes.
I almost. But I like that.
I love it.
But those came up.
To answer you, or to respond to that, Carrie, I think men do consider what is it that I do not have, but then that becomes the origin story. Because man's like, oh, you didn't like me when I was sweet and nice, so now I'm a super villain. And every woman in your wake is going to get that treatment. So I think it might be a case where it goes for Tupac, for example, Tupac Shakur. There are 2 videos that circulate of him saying that he was this nice guy, and the lady saying, oh, he's too nice and all that. And then there's another video of him saying, you gotta treat them XYZ.
Them like,
I can't say that on here.
Garden tools.
Yeah. I wonder about that.
And that goes back to the soul tasting you were talking about too, Neil. Sorry, carry on. Because, and I say it all the time, in particular spaces, I can't say it on the people airwaves, but in terms of the sexual connections and stuff like that, it is important, because there are certain interactions that men and women will have, and when you're trying to, if you come along, you need to be able to hit that spot. I can put it that way. You need to be able to hit that particular spot as a man for that woman, or there's no way you can be able to break that particular tie that she has with that other guy. You know what I mean? So
on facts.
To your point, the connection sexually is very, very critical and is a real thing.
Yep. And not many people pay attention to it.
Yeah.
The other thing that came up that I was wondering about, so when, and again, I think this goes to the point of intention and follow through and the whole stick to itiveness, but time it takes to get things together. So if you, again, in Neil's commentary, he was talking about, you buck up somebody, things jiving well, but then again, the guy says, well, you don't have this quality, or generally the woman talking about the lists that men need to meet. I get it. Say, they don't meet this and that. Is there ever a point at which there is a desire to communicate time it takes, or the opportunity to give time to meet other quote unquote requirements or needs or desires? That's also something I'm curious about, because I'm thinking personally, as I'm also sharing this, like if I've ever had to say to myself, well, maybe I should give him time to meet this other check the box item. And because I've never dated with certain check the box items in mind, I don't know if I've given myself the opportunity to give someone time to get it together. So that's also something that was curious to me.
Yeah, my response to that is I think it depends. I think it depends on where you are with the person. So in my experience, I had a couple of experience with this, one or two, where this is no, we've expressed love. We've expressed the desire to spend the rest of life together. We've expressed the desire to stick it out with one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has been, it may not be, will you marry me or whatever, but it's like, yo, I have chosen you. I want to be with you. I want to make this work. I want to make this thing good, right?
Right.
I think that if both of those people commit to that, and both those people see the value in the person, in the, let's say 7, 8 out of 10 things that they have, right? I think that they should be afforded the opportunity to meet that. Now, that is dependent on the person, what amount of time they want to give or whatever. But like, for example, if you're dating somebody for 2 years, 5 years, right? And they're not doing certain things, right? Then, you're wasting time. But by that same token, and again, it depends on the person's situations too. It depends on how they were raised. It depends on their trauma. It depends on how they want to explore that trauma. It depends on so many things. But from my experience, I felt as though when the person said, okay, you know what, I done with this because whatever, it felt as though I was not good enough. It felt like I didn't feel like I had enough time. I felt like it was just like, I love you. You're a great man. You're a great thing, but you're not doing these couple of things, or you've not fulfilled these couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I done with that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you hear the shout later on, in one of these situations, you hear the shout later on is like, yeah, you were the best man I ever had. And then these people are married. These people have moved on. Right. So it for me, I think that, and this comes back to something I said in this space before, I think that there's something to be said of how things were done 50 to 100 years ago, where I like you, I want you, you get to know each other, you say, you know what, I can marry you. My intent, I might not got the resources to do it now. I may not got the resources to put you in a house. I may not get the resources to pick up and move to you or whatever. But I am so committed and dedicated to you and wanting to spend the rest of my life with you that it may take me a while, but I want to get there because it will be worth it in the end on the basis, on the foundation that I've shown you and you've shown me. We've shown each other the cards, and there's that foundation. Like, I like this enough that I can spend the rest of my life with this person.
Right.
So and back then, it wasn't no, like, you know what, he ain't got here together. There's a year now, he ain't got here together. He done with this. You know what I mean? This man here, like this man just saying, unless he's doing something really terrible and really causing you anxiety and stress to the point where you can't function and see this man and interact with this man or woman. By and large, we live in a society now where if you don't meet my criteria in the time period that I set, I done with that. So whether it's 2 weeks, I've literally had situations where I was dating someone, couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever, And because I did not say, let us get in a relationship, let us go forward and get in a relationship, they say, you know what? You ain't serious. I am doing my due diligence. I am making sure this is with the intent of choosing a life partner. No, I ain't talking about just somebody stringing along. I'm talking about this is the intent to marry this person eventually. That is the space I was in at that time. So then I'm dating this person and I'm dating this person, but I'm going through my process, and there, as time goes on, I'm saying, yeah, okay. I'm seeing certain qualities in this woman that could be my wife. But because I did not do it in her time frame, then I done. That's why I asked earlier about, we say that men are in control of relationships and men are in control of initiating and part of the maintenance of relationships. The initial is on the woman. That's why I asked if the power now has shifted where women feel like they have the power right through and men have no power. Because for me, I feel as though if I am choosing you to be my wife and I have expressed to you that I am interested in making my wife, I just need to do my process. I don't know how long it's going to take, but this is my process, right? And you have to, because I know that you may come from a situation and say, you know what, but was your time, you got to give me certainties. Because I know women like dates, women like time frames. Women want here in 6 months, be together and we getting married, right? But in 2022, I'm sorry to say this for anybody that's watching, right? It doesn't work like that exclusively anymore. Back in the day, you would tell a woman after 2 weeks, I want to marry you. You didn't have sex. You didn't have the law of communication. It was a lot harder and stringent in terms of the gender roles and how things were skewed. And you just literally took faith and blind hope and pray that this person work out. Divorce was an option, so you tied to that person. No, because things like the access to people is so easy to find a partner. It is so easy to get out of a relationship and a partnership that everything becomes disposable. If you find a man or a woman that you say, you know what, this man or woman, I really think that this is the best partner for me. He ain't exactly where he needs to be in his life or she needs to be in her life or whatever, but this woman or this man is somebody I could dead in this man arms at 110. But because the man in move to your timetable, right? You out and gone.
Yes. And I see that, and I've felt that way in relationships too. And so that's why I was asking, is there a way to talk about time it takes that also is clear around trust and security? Because I think those are the two kind of things around that. So, Derek, sorry.
I want to defend the ladies tonight. Yeah, this is monumental, right? Ain't it? Let me defend the ladies, because the reality is, right?
Proceed, Derek. Proceed.
Yeah. I can defend the ladies tonight, because the reality is, and we say all the time, women don't have the luxury of time.
Right.
If they want certain things, they don't have the luxury of time. So they need to be able to vet quickly, really quickly. The trouble is that women do not want to. I can't afford it. You're essentially gambling. You're pushing all your chips to the table early in life and gambling and hoping
Words
that
matter,
this
Derek.
man.
Hold on. Words matter. There's gambling and there's taking a calculated risk.
Agreed. But I'm saying that there's a
matter.
gamble. There's a gamble. You push all your chips to the table, hoping that this man that you attaching your wagon to can get you to the end of life, right? Yeah. So ladies, women do not have the opportunity to sit down and wait and say, I can give you 2 years to get X or Y and Z together. Nah. So it's on to the next. The problem is now on the other side of the time now is that they do not bargain for the time they had to already, the time it takes to make a relationship work. Because you got to invest that time. Because as you said, just not nobody getting a shotgun weddings no more. In 2 weeks, let me get married. People, because men need to be sure. Men need to be sure what is it invested in. So I might want to see all of you, as much as you can see before he asks you to come and come and take a walk with me. Because it's a gamble for me too, and I need to make sure that I don't get that.
I posit to you, Derek, not across you. It is a much, much bigger gamble for men in 2022 than it is for women. Because if that man
Yeah,
chooses poorly,
yeah.
she will
Because a
lose
man could
out.
get fleeced. A man could get fleeced on the back end, but on the front end, women need to be able to. Because we talking now childbearing years and all that, right? And we've seen it. We know how this game is played.
But would you rather
If
have?
a woman
ask-
hold tight,
Go ahead,
if a
go
woman
ahead.
sacrifices those early years and doesn't play things right, she could end up out here so in these streets. What Keisha is, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the reality is, if you pass up on certain men early in your life as a woman, you don't get them. Shoot, Erica Badu is a classic example. She sang Tyrone back in the days. Call Tyrone. No, she got a young boy that could be she son. She's 50 when a man is 20 something years old. Why? Because she can no longer attract the men on her level. So she gotta get a man, and all the things she complain about Tyrone, but she gotta do now.
But here's my thing, right? Because I agree with what you're saying, but again, it's not black and white. There are some women out there that would have sacrificed their the majority of their childbearing years, chasing career, messing with men they shouldn't be dealing with, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
Now, we are men in our 40s. The women that, I mean, you meet a woman that's 30, you meet a woman that's 32. All of a sudden, now she child crazy. She want child. She got to get child before she's 35. Some women are late to want to get child before they're 40, 41, 42. So now I have to pay the price as a man that fits.
No, you don't.
But no,
You
but hold on.
You choose to engage her.
Exactly.
Right.
But no, but
we
hold
as a
on,
men
hold on,
control the
but
access
hold
to
on.
relationship, you know.
I agree, but hear what I'm saying, because I think what is missing is the nuances of some of these situations that play out. Because there are situations where, so let me ask a question then. Would a woman rather, you say biology, you say childbearing years, you say certain things, right? Would a woman say, I want a child, so I would get a child by any means necessary, even if it means I being with a dud? Or would you rather say, I want a partner that fits me, fits whatever, even if it means that I take my time and do the due diligence to have that person?
You have both.
Women ain't got that time. Women
Yeah,
hit a
you
certain
have
age,
both.
we ain't got
Hold
that
on.
time.
We don't want. I said it earlier. We don't have the time, right? We don't normally have the time. I am 40. I don't have no children, and there was a decision for me to not to do the second category that you're talking about, to wait and figure out the guy that would be best complementary. I sure as hell could have had 4 children by now. Trust and believe, right? I could have had that. But there are some women who for sure are saying before 35, all children have to be out of the way. Even if I am with a dud or a Build-A-Bear. They're with Build-A-Bears. A lot of them are with Build-A-Bears.
But then we get labeled as being no good. This is the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that there is something to be said for due diligence. There is something to be said for doing your homework and choosing the right partner.
Yes.
Right?
I agree with you on that.
So to me, what I see around the place now, the statistics ball me out and everything like that, women are listening to their biological clock and having children. They're listening to their biological clock and saying, I need to get these things out of the way. I need to do these things. I need to prioritize family at a certain point and stuff like that. But when you look at the divorce rates, when you look at women that just decide to throw up their hands and done and everything like that, when you look and hear that they got that men ain't good, they don't check for the children, the men ain't out there running around, to me, it still makes me wonder.
Earlier. This is what I said earlier, though, Neil. That there is a conditioning, a structure that you are told to abide by as a woman. You are supposed to do certain things before a certain age because your biological clock will time out on you, and then you'll be looked at as some poor woman who no man never wants and never have no children. And oh dear, that's it. Right? So you have both sides of the coin as women. We're chastised. I'm chastised a whole heap. Like, Carrie, how you don't have no children yet? You're this, you're that, you don't have no man, you don't have no the amount of stories that I alone can tell you about people concerned about my reproductive health is amazing. It's amazing. So you have that side of things. And yes, you do have the women who are out here grinding to get the husband, hurry up and get the husband, and hurry up and get the child before a certain time. And yes, maybe some of them are giving you that whole, I'm hurrying to do this, do that. And then they buck up the wrong type of men. And then the stories formulate about men are dogs, men worthless, men all of this, because there was no time out to discern, no time out to really vet, because they were rushing to meet the social standard of having the children before 35. So you have both sides of the story, but no side is better than the other.
Do you think is a race thing as well, where because we did talk about in another episode where the lighter complected are encouraging, they're getting married mid-20s.
Yeah. They go to college in order to find their
a
partners.
husband.
Yes.
Yeah. And we don't do that. We
don't.
go to have fun. And I think that that's one of the most destructive phrases to Black women in particular. You got time. You're doing. Because then you end up, as you say, trying to beat the clock. Right? Another one is thick, but that's another story for another time. I think it does them a disservice because you got to spend time in each relationship.
Yeah.
You got to spend time trying to cultivate that relationship. Then for it not to work out, then you got to restart that process. So if it takes you, if we say it takes you 5 years to get to the point of engaged and married, and you married for 2 years, you decide, you know what, I'm done with this, I out.
Right.
That's 5 years you took.
Yep.
Now you go, and then 2 years of marriage is 7 years invested in the relationship. So you got to look at 7 years to get back to that was. Let me call it 5. You got to go 5 years, man. You got to meet somebody first.
Yeah.
Coming out, you got to resolve this relationship.
Right.
Meet somebody, and then spend another 5 years to try to get back to that point of marriage. That's
and let's be
10 years.
mindful. Let's pay attention to the fact that even in the European type of, or Caucasian type of structure where they marry straight out of college, they're not marrying for happiness and love.
No.
It is a function. That is a function, right? That is a business transaction that is taking place because they understand, by and large, they understand what it means to do it young, build together, get the money going, facilitate children, and then this whole investment, there's a strategic thing that they are trained to abide by that we don't necessarily get in our communities of some communities of color get it, but we don't necessarily get it as Black people or as Caribbean particularly. But to both sides, this is why I say it's a game, right? It's a timing and numbers structure, and you get both sides. To what Neil is saying earlier, there is a frustration because you get both sides, and when people are bitter, like I said earlier too, when women do that whole 5 years of investment, then you do the divorce afterwards, whatever, then you end up with some women who are bitter because they did what they were told to do and it didn't work out. And now I'm out of time, quote unquote. What do I now do? And so you hear all the rhetoric and stuff that you guys talk about so often about being a bad bitch. I don't need a man. Yada 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 yada. So it works both ways on how men are dogs and all this kind of thing. So it's like two major camps. I'm in one where I get chastised all damn day about how you don't have the children yet. And then those who are 4 children in, divorced, or still with the man, and he's stepping out and she's stepping out, and it's a whole mess because they did what they were supposed to do or told to do.
They followed the script, man. It didn't work out. Carrie, I don't know how many more points you have there that you wanna do, because it is now 20 minutes past the hour of 10. Those are all my points.
Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry.
20 minutes past the hour of 10 in Barbados and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. This is indeed the Senate podcast here on YouTube. And I don't know if we got time. Let me see if I can get through these comments in the chat quickly. I don't see too many. All right, so let me see if I can get through them quickly. Daniel Hines telling us to keep grinding. We will do that, my brother. Jason, well said, Dr. Carey. How the hell you expect me to expand my emotional vocabulary only in a way that suits your perspective? Maybe you need to learn to listen. The levels of self-control, the level of accountability that is hammered into us as men. Brett says this is extremely interesting. Thank you, my brother. Enjoying it so far. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Danielle says to preach, and we are grateful for the support, guys. Really are. Good night, says Philip. Good to see you. Aston asks if geriatric pregnancy is a thing. Indeed, it is.
It is.
Man, about technology has made it, has given you a little bit more time, but it still really exists.
Janet Jackson had a child at
50 something.
50 something.
53
Yeah.
or 52
Yeah.
or
But
something.
who really want to be running book behind children at 50? Let me keep
Not
it
me.
real.
Not me.
Not me.
Not
Yeah?
these two bad knees I got.
If one thing each man needs as time progresses is peace, says Daniel. That's a fact. If we were to tell the women the unfiltered truth at all times, they would melt. Yeah, women don't really want the truth like that. Come on.
Some of them need to melt. Some of us need to melt.
Yo, vulnerability dries, stoicism moistens. Yeah, and tendencies agree. We have made the world so soft that being soft is considered a virtue. Right. Getting everybody to get the likes up. The math, 19 viewing, 6 likes. Get the likes up. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. They do not like soft though. Their actions and words have cross purposes. Yeah. And when you come and talk to your ladies, asking to say because might as well have given them a loaded gun. So go to your boys and talk. I don't know if Carrie Ann feels about that one, but Nicholas, welcome. It's good to see you, my brother. I've been written off because of the date and time I came into this world. Wow. Sounds about right though, to be honest. Because if you watch, you gotta be in these streets, sports.
No,
these
don't be
astrological
the streets.
signs, these
Don't be
astrological
streets.
signs are a real thing. Okay, believe it.
They are.
We're extremely impatient and unwilling to extend any grace. Wanted to be married by 26, says Nicholas, but then the ladies wanted to have fun and live their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah.
The time.
And that's the point I was trying to make, right? The point I'm trying to make is that we hear about the female biological clock, which I really do agree with. But from my experiences in my 20s and et cetera, the women that wanted to settle down or wanted to marry straight out of university or at 25 and have, or let me switch that up and willingly want to have children with a partner and raise a family, that was that was not the norm around us. There, I don't know if you could remember and whatever like that, but when you go put a weekend and thing, yeah, you get a girlfriend, you could be married, but don't tell me not to go to the club. Don't tell me not to stay home and mind your children. You understand what he's saying? So
Yeah.
it's like I understand the catch-22. You fighting your biological clock, but I would assume that because you have such a short window to do what you need to do in terms of procreation, you'll be more discerning with who you go with and what you do in your formative years as an adult, a young adult.
Yeah. That's the
it
biggest
sounds
challenge
good.
for the ladies.
It's big. It's a big challenge. It sounds good, but the maturity level of guys, most men that you're meeting in your 20s, you don't want them to father a child. Get the hell out. Hell no. Trust.
Exactly. Lady, this is why when people push back on younger girls or younger women with older men, it's always funny because if you're looking for somebody that is going to be stable, build a family with, that kind of things, you need as a woman to get a man older than you. If you get somebody in your cohort and you're looking for you at 25, you do want to date a man at 25, you're looking for a real rare man that is going to be mature enough and able, stable and everything
enough financially,
to provide and protect a family, you know what I mean? So you got to, as a woman, look for a man at 35, 40 years old and you 25. You have to. Or you could get a cute guy that's 25 and don't want to struggle and come out together. You know what I mean? But hey,
build a bear.
Who wants struggle?
Build a bear. Nobody's struggling these days, right? But this has been an awesome discussion, Dr. Carrie Ann. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
Coming
Thank
through.
you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much.
It's been great.
The door is always open for any time you want to come through and have chat. I always appreciate the intellectual discussion. Not that Neil is not intellectual discussion, but you know,
I don't know what the
to
man trying to
have-
say.
Quite
All it is that I ain't easy on the eyes and scary, all right? That's all that is. That's all that is. Because intelligence ain't got nothing to do with it once you look good. That's all it is.
No, man. No, I appreciate the discourse for Carrie Ann. Very learned person knows. Bringing a female perspective as well, which is balancing out the misogyny, as Neil was saying. You could take a shot for that, Carrie Ann.
That wasn't me. See? But it wasn't me.
Yeah, but it's always good to hear the female perspective. I hear it coming through, and you know, and make sure I'm reading and assessing of these things. So yeah, as always, it's been great. I don't know if we can record some shorts after. And again, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
No, not tonight.
I have no problem triggering both of you.
No. I hungry. It's late.
Okay, the producers say no, so we'll do them another time. But yeah, man, folks, it's been great. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Annie C. People are saying it's a pretty good discussion, so we really appreciate that. For real. You can ignore reality all you want, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Neil, Carrie Ann, and myself, we don't make up the rules. We just make sure you know what they are. Be the best version of you for you. We're going to see you guys again very, very soon. Look out for some shorts coming. Today's Thursday, so look out for them coming tomorrow and next Monday. We're going to be back with another live stream next Tuesday. Keep your mask on, remember? We can see y'all guys again soon. Peace.
Peace and love.
Find a better one.